Eric Swalwell just consistently reminding Republicans that while they hold another bullshit hearing about law and order, they themselves are dodging subpoenas. When you see Jim Jordan speak, when you see Andy Biggs speak, just remember they are themselves in defiance of a congressional subpoena. 754 days now. 754 days now. Hey, Buzzy, I see you. We're just taking opposition today, though. We'll do friendlies on Friday. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. We got a lot to talk about today. Probably not exactly what everybody else is talking about. To be frank, I don't care a lot about this hearing. I think it's one of the most ridiculous hearings of the week. Which I say week because every time the Republicans hold a hearing, it's the same fucking thing. Like, we've seen this already. We've already done this. We've already heard these arguments. We've seen all this shit already. Like, Republicans literally have nothing. They're not running on anything. They're just upset that Trump got charged, and now they're just trying to stall. Would it be too much to ask our legislators to legislate, is what I want to know. Is that a bridge too far to say, hey, folks, remember how we asked you to legislate and you're not doing a goddamn thing? That would be dope if you would legislate. Maybe that's just a bridge too far for this version of the Republican Party. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Is anybody watching those hearings this morning? You guys been watching those at all? Oh, thanks, Doug. Doug Raid, nice to have you here. Where did I get this hat? I think it's this hat is from a company called Rough Shot Supply. I think it was like an Instagram shop. They may be on TikTok too. I don't know, but it's Rough Shot Supply. You care about Hunter? Yeah, great. If you guys care about Hunter, once Felice gets here, we will be taking opposition. If you care about Hunter Biden, you can tell us all about it. If you're opposition, if you're just coming to tell us you care about Hunter Biden, the person, well, kudos to you, and I agree. But we probably don't need to discuss that. Hunter is not in office. Yeah, it's crazy. And we had gone through the chart. I mean, this case is a nothing burger. Wow. Sorry, I'm just seeing a weird, like, breaking news. Hey, Felice. It looks like Conor McGregor might be backing out of his fight. I know that's not something that normally anybody cares about, and probably none of you do, but it appears Conor McGregor might not be fighting. Hi, Felice. Good morning.
Good morning.
Such a delayed good morning. There's already somebody here. I don't know who Los is. Los, if you're opposition, will you let us know? Let Jen know. Good morning. Happy dumbest hearing on Earth Tuesday. Have you been? I know you've been super busy this morning. Have you caught any of it?
Yeah, I've been watching it. It's not as dumb as yesterday's hearing, though. Not even close. I mean, no, I mean that genuinely. Like, yesterday's hearing was so much worse than today's hearing. Like, did you watch the COVID hearing? That was.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not even comparable.
It was one of the more embarrassing. It should be one of the most embarrassing days to be a Republican yesterday. Like, Marge specifically lost what's left of her, whatever that thing is in her head that operates her body. She's lost what's left of that. We do have someone, I think, that wants to talk to us about Hunter already. So, what's up, Los?
I'm gonna switch to the other one because you can't. I don't think anyone can even see.
Can't see the writing?
No.
Okay, that's cool. What's up, Los?
How's your day going?
Good, man. Just getting started. How about you?
Pretty good. And we're speaking in reference to the son of the president of the United States, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And well, I guess I just believe that liars don't like dialogue back and forth. And when you want to censor information, then you're afraid of dialogue and conversation, and that just kind of automatically makes.
What are you referencing?
The laptop story before elections.
So because the laptop story was silenced for almost a full day by a couple of platforms.
Well, they were private organizations, but coerced from the government.
Yeah, for a day until they got a second source. Just the government just said maybe you want to get a second source, and so they waited until they had a second source. That bothers you?
So it was officially 24 hours.
Well, it depends on which platform, but yeah, like, and it wasn't even silence. The government didn't even tell them to. They just said this looks like Russian disinformation, mostly because it was exactly the story that Russian disinformation outlets were putting out. So it looked literally exactly like Russian disinformation.
So Americans need a nanny to critically think for them.
I no, but I think it's good for our government to warn us when something is Russian propaganda or looks like it's Russian propaganda. You don't like that?
No, I believe they should encourage critical thinking. I don't think you should give a man a
That's
fish. Teach him how to fish.
everybody encourages critical thinking, which is why you want all the information possible, which is why by the way, these were all retired like this wasn't our government. These were all retired agents who out of their own fear that Russian propaganda was going to be spread, just put out a letter saying, "Hey, make sure you have two sources," basically. Do you think it's bad for people to be like, "Hey, you should get two sources on a story"? For somebody who likes critical thinking, you seem very upset about a story that singular source was the attorney of Donald Trump who was running against Joe Biden. It's weird that you like if you want to talk about critical thinking, where's your critical thinking on that? Why did you want a story with only one source out there for the public?
No, that sounds reasonable that they would want more sources, but you don't think people are capable of finding that source on their
No.
own?
No, the source was Rudy Giuliani. We already know who the source was. It was one person. It was Rudy Giuliani, and he owned a copy of a hard drive that was alleged to be a copy of the hard drive from Hunter Biden's computer, but nobody had verified that what Rudy had was actually a copy of Hunter Biden's laptop. We didn't know. So they waited for more sources.
So they've come to the conclusion that that was all fake, that that computer shop was just lying.
No, the conclusion that they've come to is that Hunter Biden definitely left a laptop at the computer store. The FBI has that laptop, and what Rudy Giuliani has appears to be a copy of the hard drive, but that what Rudy Giuliani has been edited after the date that Hunter Biden dropped off the laptop. So it's hard to know what stuff is accurate and what stuff isn't because we know for sure that what Rudy Giuliani has been edited. So you kind of just have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to say, like, does this seem like if there's a picture of Hunter Biden, you can probably assume that came off of Hunter Biden's laptop.
Okay, but I just don't believe censorship is the way to go when it comes to Americans critically thinking.
You think all these platforms should be allow like the Triple K or the Schmozzies to just post whatever they want?
I believe that they should let them talk so that they will further be exposed for the ideology that's hiding inside their head. How would we
Okay.
ever know if we never
Well,
let them spew it out?
well, are you a fan of capitalism?
I'm a fan of idea meritocracy and
I know, but I
competence.
asked about capitalism. Do you like capitalism?
I believe in free markets with Ludwig
Free
von Mises,
markets.
Karl
Okay,
Menger.
free
Not
markets.
Keynesian economics though.
Okay, so free markets. So you're saying that these platforms, who you already said privately held, you think that they shouldn't be allowed to pick and choose what they put on their platform so that they can make advertising dollars, right? You understand that if there's Triple K or Schmaltzy stuff, advertisers leave, right?
I understand that if it's actual hate groups, then they could do whatever they want. But if it's the government coming in through a back door
It
and asking them
it
to
wasn't.
silence,
It wasn't. Wait,
also
hold on.
the Twitter
Hold
files are
on,
not
but
real,
but
then.
Los, wait, host, it wasn't. It was not the government. It was retired agents. And like I don't understand how
The
you
FBI and
Republicans
the CIA
like
were not colluding with private companies.
hold on. No, the answer to that is no. And if you watched the Twitter file hearings, if you've read the Twitter files, you know that there is only one instance where the government told a platform what to do. And that was when Donald Trump demanded that a post calling him a pussy ass bitch be taken down. He's the only person that directly asked social media platforms to take down information. He's the only one.
That doesn't really seem accurate. I would give the
Well, then you
benefit
didn't.
of the
Well, then you
doubt
didn't
before.
watch. Then you don't. Then you didn't watch it. because that's 100% accurate. That testimony is from Matt Taibbi himself. That's the journalist who did the Twitter files.
So you're claiming that the CIA and the FBI did not go have secret meetings with these social media
Correct.
companies? They did not, because wasn't
Correct.
that at
Do
a
you
court
have any?
hearing? That wasn't an
Do you have
official
any
court hearing.
Do you wait? That wasn't a court hearing. That was a congressional hearing. And great news! Great news! You can lie in Congress, and you can make up stories in Congress. They don't ever do anything about
Perjury.
it. But yeah, do you have any evidence that that the CIA and FBI secretly worked with these social media platforms to take down information?
They were taking down posts about C19.
The government didn't take down a single post about C19, and if they did, that would have been.
They
and
took
if
my post and countless other people's
the
posts
government
down.
did not. Los. That wasn't the government. That was the social media platform.
Just because the government doesn't do it directly doesn't mean indirect.
Well, it does. It matters for the First Amendment. It absolutely matters when talking about the First Amendment. 100%.
Yeah, the First Amendment does not allow the government to indirectly silence people.
Well, Delos, what did they take down? What did you post that they took down?
Wasn't the government, that was a private corporation.
It was a private corporation that was doing the bidding of the government.
Well, the problem is you don't have any evidence of that, Los.
Well, they just call it misinformation, and I've posted
No, Los, what's your evidence that the government was doing it? What's the evidence that the government was behind it? Where's your evidence?
Their incentives are aligned. I look at incentives, and they have a clear incentive to do that.
So it's a feeling that you have.
No, it's not a feeling. It's called logical thinking. It's called pharmaceutical companies.
That's definitely not logical. You don't have any evidence.
That's very logical. It's called following the money. Do you follow the money?
I feel like there's a conspiracy. I have no proof of it, but I feel really deeply that there is. That's not logical.
Okay, well,
Los, let's follow the money.
So
let's follow the money. Los, hold on, Los. Let's follow the money. Where do social media platforms get their money?
Government subsidies and private money.
Almost exclusively private money. There have been like subsidies that they've got in the past, but for the most part, it's advertising money, right?
Okay, so
and then so let's keep going with that. So now that we know that's where they get their money, once that money comes into the company, where does that money go?
There is private money that's coming into the company.
We're following the money, Los. Just
but you
don't. These aren't gotchas. No, Los. These aren't gotchas. No. We're having a conversation like humans.
You're assuming.
Answer the question that I asked, Los. Please. Once the money comes in, Los. Once the money comes into the company, then where does it go? Because you told me to follow the money, Los. So I'm following the money. I'm not following your line of logic or your ideas. We're just simply following the money like you asked. So the money comes into the company, and then where does it go?
But you're skipping the step
where,
of where that.
Where does it go once it gets to the company?
You can't just make an assumption and then expect me to just ride on that assumption.
I can assume
there's money that is being printed through debt monetization, and then therefore fractional reserve banking is creating more new money.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that your information got taken down. That has nothing to do with advertisers paying a social media company, Los. Try and stay on subject. We'll try one more time, and if we can't get on the same page,
those advertisers
shut up, Los. Be quiet. Once that money comes to the social media company, because we're following it, we know the advertisers had the money, they give it to the social media company. Then where does it go, Los?
It goes to the company that they gave it to. What is your
correct?
point?
And so they would go and they might pay their employees. They might pay for like servers. They're going to pay investors. They're going to pay their CEO, their CFO. Where's the money going back to the government? You told me to follow the money. Where is that money going back to the government? Specifically the CIA and FBI, which is who you pointed to. So can you show me where the money leaves their hands and goes to the CIA and FBI?
Where does it go from the private companies to the CIA?
Not my question. Yeah, can you show me that it goes to the CIA and FBI? You have any evidence of that?
No, I really don't.
No, see how you. So you see how this isn't. Wait, hold on. Yeah, you can in a second, but I need you to understand this. When you say I can follow logic, Wrong. That wasn't logic. What you're doing is making up conspiracy theories. Nothing you said was logical. Logical is when you take whatever evidence you have and you follow that money and you figure out where it goes. And none of it went to the CIA and FBI, but that was your claim. So do you see how that's not logical?
Well, because you are creating assumptions and building your arguments on premises that I do not agree on.
You don't agree that advertising companies pay social media companies, and then those social media companies pay their employees, investors, and their CEO, CFO? You don't agree with any of that? You think that's all wrong?
I don't agree that they have the right to debase our currency.
That's not what we were
so
asking. You told me to follow the
building a premise. He wasn't building a premise.
That
he was
has everything to do with the question, sir.
He was asking you questions. That's the Socratic method. And then it came to a point where you no longer had answers and or evidence. And that's where the line of logic snapped. That had nothing. Nobody was building a premise. We asked you questions, right? And then you no longer had the answers.
I just do not have the exact paperwork that shows that the CIA was received
the evidence. Yeah, we
private
know.
company. Yeah, I don't, but I have evidence through economic logic that you can't be
economic logic. What the fuck is economic law, dude? What is
Flag on the field.
You told me to follow the money. We followed the money. I did exactly what you asked me to do.
You're not gonna let me make a point.
You just made a point.
Well, no, you didn't. You just cut me off.
Well, because I'm not gonna let. What I'm not gonna let you do is what all of you conservatives do. When you get to a dead end, you change the subject, which is why you're now talking about.
I'm clearing up.
No, you're talking about currency.
We're talking up the subject. So
okay,
allow me to clear it up.
Okay, let's cover this first, real quick. The subject that we were talking about is your claim that we needed to follow the money to prove that social media companies were working with the CIA and FBI. So if your next claim has nothing to do with the CIA, FBI, or social media companies, then it's off subject, right?
Okay, for the sake of keeping this debate going, I'll concede that to you, that I have no evidence of CIA.
So why believe it?
Okay, well, I concede to that.
So why do you believe it then? If you don't have any evidence of it, why do you believe it?
Because that aligns with their incentives to keep the dialogue in a certain narrative.
Whose incentives?
The people that are controlling the whole world.
Who are they?
The money
the World
printing
Economic
people.
Forum, Jay. Gosh.
The world people.
I would say it's the banks.
What's the banks? Which banks?
In your conspiracy theory, I know what you're doing. You're talking about the World Economic Forum stuff. Yeah,
the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, to be very specific to you.
He's just listing.
Yeah, you're just listing like conspiracy theories in order now.
That's called Austrian economics.
Listen, let me give you
what Austrian economics is?
Let me get the Federal Reserve is not Austrian economics. God damn, that was dumb. But Los, let me do you.
Obviously, it's not fucking Austrian economics. That's why I'm saying you should read up on it.
Los, you just said it was Austrian economics. Those were your words.
No, I said, do you know what that is? I said, do you know what that is?
You said it's Austrian economics. Do you know what that is? And I said the Federal Reserve is not Austrian economics. And you're like, yeah. So you were on both sides of that argument. Los, listen to me. Hold on. Los, I'm going to do you a favor here. Los, hold on. I'm going to do you a favor here. You don't know enough to speak on this stuff. And what you should do more is listen. Because this was embarrassing. This was one of
I know
you weren't anywhere.
Sir.
Yeah, you've done great proving that too. You've done a really good job with that. I follow. Yeah, sure I did. Okay, Los. Anything else you want to say?
Explain your line of logic, and then you cease to be able to do that. That is what happened.
You don't have the right to debase people's currency.
Are you talking? What does debase mean? Tell me what debasing currency means. What does that mean?
Called inflation. It's called losing value.
No, inflation is called inflation. Debase is not a synonym for inflation. Can you just tell me what debase means?
Disrespect.
To degrade,
you are
maybe
diluting the value of the currency.
I am.
You're increasing the modern monies.
I am. Who's doing that?
With the U.S. Treasury.
Okay, what do they have?
Okay,
what do they have to do with social media companies, the FBI, and CIA?
It's all a conspiracy.
That's where they get all the corrupt money to fund all those
The Federal
coercive
Reserve.
actions.
Wait, you think the Federal Reserve funds the FBI and CIA?
No, that is the
Okay, then
fountain of
how?
easy
Then what
credit
are
that
you talking?
goes to
Then
the
what? Wait, hold
banks.
on. Because Los, what you said is that's where they get their money, and then I said you think that's where they get their money, and you said no. This is embarrassing, dude. This is like maybe you have a group of friends who just let you talk and ramble and never ask you any questions, but this is incoherent. Nobody in the audience has a goddamn clue what you're talking about right now.
Can I say something? I was just gonna say
Well,
if
so
Los, let me
increasing
say
the money
something.
supply doesn't create inflation.
Can I say something? This is the issue. If you're worried, I'm just helping you out. If you're worried about the Federal Reserve, right? Because like what you've done with the conspiracy theories, you've bastardized like a lot of libertarian ideas, right? Which one being, right, is abolish the Federal Reserve. And that comes from, they don't like that they're printing money, and I think that's why you're saying debasing currency. I think you mean devaluing, maybe, currency. You don't stop there with the line of logic. Like, the reason we're printing money, right, is because huge transfers of wealth are happening, right? Wealth is being transferred to the billionaires, and it never comes back down. It never circulates back into the economy. So in order to keep the slave labor class, us, the American workforce, alive and kicking, especially during the pandemic, they had to print money, right? Like, if we don't want to print money, which I agree with you, I don't, it's not ideal to be printing money, then we have to get that money at the top of the economy that is being hoarded by the 1%. We have to get it to recirculate through the economy somehow. I would suggest we incentivize and tax it out of them. What do you think, Lowe's?
Owners are the ones that benefit most from inflation, and most modern day Americans, middle class Americans, don't own much assets that are stocks, real estate, or appreciating. Basically, anything that isn't increasing in supply as fast as the money, then it's not going to catch up to inflation. And most of the stock market isn't even going to perform against it either. The way that we problem is just go to a set currency supply. That's it, and then they won't have no ability to print money and coerce private companies.
But Los, here's the problem that I have with that economic theory is that if you
Did I
were
say
to,
anything that was
yeah, Los, be quiet. I'm going to explain the problem with your theory. Is if you look at the structure of our economy right now, when money goes in, it goes to the top and it stays there, and we have to keep printing money because the money doesn't trickle down. So if we remove the currency we currently have and replace it with, I'm going to assume you want crypto or gold, all of that money is going to go to the top, and it will never come back down. Poor people will just cease to have money. You understand that, right?
And
Like
then we'll go back to feudalism, right?
in
We're just
order
going to
to
be working the land for the right to survive.
yeah, in order to operate on the gold standard, to use crypto, like you have to have an economy that forces the currency to circulate. Whatever the currency is, the economy needs to be forced to cause it to circulate. Otherwise, you have to print more money. The reason we have to print more money, Los, is not because of some like socialist or Marxist or communist takeover. It's because the people like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are hoarding all of the wealth. It goes to them and it stays with them. So if you want to change the currency, cool. But before we change the currency, we have to change our entire economic structure so that as soon as we change currency, it doesn't go straight up to those same billionaires, which is exactly what it would do.
Or we could go back to alchemy and finally discover how to turn
Ooh,
other metals into gold. You know what I'm
ooh.
saying? That could work. See, I'm a thinking person.
okay. Well, that wouldn't really work out. And if what specific economic
Oh, it
structure would you
wouldn't?
want?
Why not,
Would
Los?
it be? Why wouldn't it work out if if you just stop printing money? Or what do you? I don't even know what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, Los, if we didn't keep printing money, then poor people wouldn't have any money. Get that right? Like we don't operate in an economy where everybody takes care of each other. Like people hoard money. And so because of that, we have to put protections in our laws, things like taxes, things like anti-monopoly laws, uh, uh, things like corporate
Coercion to
greed,
take
like
people's money.
price gouging. Yeah, that's not coercion. We're not going to coerce them. We're not going to try and trick them or talk them into it. You would have to put structures in place so they can never acquire that amount of wealth. It has to be forced to circulate. And if it's not forced to circulate, then we have to print more money, which, by the way, is exactly what all these crypto people do anyways. It's funny with the crypto folks is because there's 45 trillion
Who
coins.
said
Most
I'm
of
a
them do
crypto?
not
Who said
most
I'm a
of them
crypto
do
folk?
nothing. All of them can be pump and dumped. They're easily manipulated. It's a far more unstable form of currency than the US dollar. I mean, I don't know how you guys have all been
It's
duped into
scam
this
after
Ponzi
scam.
scheme, but like all of you are just being lied to. Like so that people can run pump and dump schemes on you. You're the
I
mark.
agree. I agree that most crypto is all shit.
Great.
All of it. All of it except for
Well,
one.
look, we agreed on something, Los. This is a good moment for us.
Y'all are correct. There's a lot of scammers, pump and dump pieces of shits out there.
Yeah, but
And
if you
no
let's just
better than
say
the Federal Reserve System.
so let's say we change out cash now, like the Federal Reserve goes away and we use Bitcoin tomorrow. If we switched tomorrow, basically within a few months, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all the same people that have all the money now, they would just have all the crypto. But because you
Which
can't, because you don't believe in making more coins, right? You wouldn't want to make more Bitcoins. Then what would the people who don't have any Bitcoins do? What would they do? They would work for the rich people, and the rich people would be like, we'll give you food and we'll give you a house, and then you work for us. You're not getting money, but we'll give you food and a house. And then we're back to like the
Feudalism.
Robin,
That is the
yeah,
definition of feudalism.
the Robin Hood days. That's what
so
you're
you believe
advocating
that?
for.
Well, I'm advocating for a slow transition. I don't think we could go to a extreme like switch because there's so much leverage and debt that needs to be serviced. That if we went to a hard currency, it would be hard to service that
So
growing
you
debt.
you want us to slowly move into
But
feudalism. You don't want to do it quickly. You want to
Yeah,
slow
we
move
don't
into
want to move into
no, well, I
feudalism.
don't think
A
it
feudalism,
would be
sir.
trickling
feudalism.
stream to
It wouldn't
feudalism.
be feudalism.
It would.
Well, let me tell you why it
brother
wouldn't be
brother
feudalism.
brother
Because
the only
you
reason we don't have
most
feudalism now is
most
because
of
the
those
Federal
governments
Reserve
that
keeps pumping. The only reason we don't
can
have
I speak
feudalism now
here?
is the
Because
Fed
I
keeps.
just
Hold
stayed
on,
quiet this
Los.
whole time. I just stayed the
Yeah,
whole time that you.
yeah, and I'm telling you right now that the only reason we don't have feudalism currently in this country is because the Fed keeps printing money. That's the only reason. Otherwise, we would be living under feudalism. They are the only thing protecting us from feudalism right now.
What the fuck? You really believe that?
Yes. Do you want me to explain it again, Los?
No, people dealing with inflation all over this country, they're benefit.
Oh my god.
Who's they? This is, I don't know. Listen, I think that your post got taken down because
People,
you don't know what
average
you're
good
talking about.
Americans that are on
I would tell you
TikTok
this,
just speaking out of.
Los. That's you, Los. That's you.
Yeah,
You're
you're
literally
projecting. That's
you're not
projection.
making any sense at all. You know nothing about economics. I am not an economic genius. Like there are many people who know. If you listen, here's a general rule of thumb. If you know less about a slow transition to feudalism. We covered that. If you know less about economics than me, you shouldn't talk about economics because like I should barely talk about economics. But you don't understand how any of this stuff works, bud.
So what schools do you learn from? Neoclassical, Keynesian? What is your school?
Yeah, I went to neoclassical Keynesian University, home of the
Oh,
fighting
obviously
Keynesians.
there's not a fucking school called Keynesian Economic
Oh,
School. It's
okay.
called
Well,
the School of.
you asked me what school I went to.
What is your thinking based off of? What do you base your thinking off? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of.
Okay.
Stop. Oh
My,
my gosh, I can't. We're nearing
we're
the time
done.
where I can't take
Yeah,
this.
my thinking is based on this. Every time we inject money into our economy, it goes to the top and it doesn't trickle down. And so if we operate under trickle down economics, no matter what the currency is, it will still operate as trickle down economics until you do something about billionaires' ability to hoard wealth off of the backs of the working class. We will continue to either one have to inject new money into our economy through the Federal Reserve, or two, just do what you want and have a slow trickle into feudalism. Those are the two options that we have right now, my friend. And unless unless you get on board with taking back that the power from the billionaire class, limiting their wealth, not allowing them to make more money off of the working class than the working class makes.
So you believe in communism or socialism?
Yeah, I like
we wouldn't
socialism.
be talking about currency
I
if
just
we're talking
explained
about
everything I need to
communism, since
know.
it wouldn't exist.
I'll
It's
give
the
you.
most idiotic
No, Rose,
thinking
here's
in the
what I
world.
think you should do. Here's a homework assignment. You should look, starting with 1980 Satan, Ronald Reagan, when trickle-down economics started, and look at the sine wave of capitalism. Look at the boom bust. That is designed to happen, right? The bust. When we bust, right? Middle class, lower class people bust. Where does that wealth go? It transfers to the billionaires. They count
So
on the boom bust sine wave of capitalism. And over time, since Ronald Reagan, wealth is just being transferred slowly up through the boom bust of capitalism. And it's time everyone open their eyes and notice that. They're distracting us by printing money because we'd be starving to death otherwise.
So misallocation of capital just happens naturally through voluntarily trading human beings? Because that's what a recession and booms and busts are, misallocation of capital.
You're muted.
Yeah, we can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, Jay, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, thank God, because I was dying. What are you talking about? That was nonsense. That was gobbledygook. That made no sense at all.
Just because your dumbass can't comprehend what I said doesn't mean it's nothing.
Yeah, it's me. Say it again. Say it again. Maybe I'll comprehend it this time. Say it again.
I said misallocation of capital. I'm asking a question. Does misallocation of capital happen naturally through
What do you mean? What do you mean by
trading
misallocation
human
of?
beings?
What do you mean by misallocation of capital?
So you know about economics, but you don't know misallocation of capital.
No,
what
I'm
that
wondering
is.
what you. I don't think you know what it is. So I'm asking you what
Yeah,
you
it's
mean
called
when you say that.
when a private individual takes hold of resources and uses them through acquiring money first. But you either, but
I'm sorry. Tap the screen, guys. Tap the screen. If you have a question
does
or
that not
comment,
make sense?
this is
What the
Cash
No,
App and
none.
Venmo. As
It
long
makes
as
no
we won't
sense.
get banned, we
you
will
acquire
read your
money,
comments
then you
out
acquire
loud. We do
resources.
rely on
But
your
if you
donations, and we
acquire the
thank you
money
so
through
much.
production, then that's good. If you acquire the money through printed money and easy credit, then you just misallocated capital.
What do you mean misallocate? That's what capital is. Capital literally is people using their money, loaning it to other people so that they can make. What do you think capitalism is?
It's privatized profit.
Called
That's
private
what it is.
property,
It's
respecting
privatized
private
profit.
property.
No, that's not capitalism. You don't know what words mean. That's the biggest problem that you have.
The
When you
private
just
ownership of the means of
that's
production.
not
Yes, I know the
that's
exact.
not you just said owning private. You know you can have private property with socialism too, right? Like you can
No, he
own
didn't know
property.
that. He's learning that for the
property is
first
not.
time in real time.
Do you not think that there are socialist countries all over this world that have private property rights? Do you really not know that, Los?
If you think communism is gonna fix anything, then
Do
you're
you
fucking
not know that, Los?
Socialism. You don't even understand that they're not the same thing.
But they go in the sentence together with communist, Marxist, socialist ideologies. Woke, I think woke's in there too. DEI probably makes it in there. Los,
So how do you
listen.
essentially plan these organized these economic systems?
What's that?
How do you essentially plan them with proper representation of everybody, since it's collective ownership of the means of production?
It's not collective ownership of the means of production.
What is it?
It means you own the means of the production. The worker owns the means of production, meaning you, Los.
As a
You
collective,
own
or just so I own the whole company just myself?
Los, it can be as a collective or it can be individually, but you own the production. You can create a co-op or a collective of other people and combine your labor. Yeah, you can do that in socialism. Or
Is that
if
called
you
a fucking business?
Yes, businesses exist in socialism. What the hell, man? Like, I swear, like you've called me dumb 3 times, and this is nonsense. Do you not know that business?
There's no ownership of private property in communism. What the fuck?
We're talking about socialism.
Talking about socialism.
All right, Los, you gotta go. It just told me I had to remove you. That
Yeah,
was
he swore he's. I'm actually surprised that went on for that long.
that was.
Well, I mean, without him getting a violation, he said a lot of stuff.
I don't know. It's sure winner. I don't know if you're opposition or not. If you are, will you just let Jen know?
Guys, keep
I,
tapping the screen. We are taking opposition. Everyone invite a couple people. If you don't have anyone to invite, just push the copy link live. That counts as a share as well, and we appreciate it.
I don't
And
think any. I don't think anything bothers you more than somebody just insulting your intelligence. I think that's just.
what do you mean? Like, well, it's different though because that was like so absurd that I know I didn't find that insulting. Like that, you know what I'm saying? That's not insulting. That's like it doesn't. It's sad.
It can't. It's not coherent enough to be insulting. It had to be more coherent. What's up, sure winner?
Oh, not much, man. Just hanging out. What about you?
I was having a real interesting conversation.
Yeah, with that other guy. How'd that go?
Yeah. I think it was confusing, probably for everybody.
Okay. I think I like heard the end of it, like something about capitalism being, private profit.
Well, first he said it's private property, then it was private ownership of the means of production, and then I think he said something about businesses. Yeah, it was pretty convoluted.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not private profit?
No, it is. It
Okay.
is. Yeah, he was saying that like
He said
misallocate.
privatized profit.
You did.
Oh,
That's probably where he
okay.
got it.
Yeah, I don't think he said that. I don't know. Actually, I'm very confused about what about that conversation. So maybe I don't know what was happening.
Anyways, what do you want to talk about?
A lot of Australians are actually getting behind Trump lately.
Oh, I remember you. Cool. How many of them do you think are going to vote for him?
Well, probably none of them since
Probably
we
none. Yeah.
won the election.
Yeah, no, look, there's fascists all over the world. I think fascists love Trump. It's pretty clear. Like if you look at any country that in England, it's the same thing. The same people that were part of Brexit, they also like Trump. Yeah.
Do you have to be a fascist to like Trump?
No. You can like him for whatever reasons you want. But if the reasons you like him are because of his fascist ideologies, then yeah, you're probably a fascist.
Right. No, I don't know if I like him. Like, he's a shit politician, but he's a good businessman.
He's actually
Oh,
a
that's
good.
not
It's
true.
the
Yeah, it's the
opposite.
opposite.
He's actually the thing he's done best at in his whole life is
Yeah.
politics. The thing he's
Yeah.
done the worst at is business. He's a terrible businessman. He has lost every business he ever started, and his current business has now been fined $500 million. They're not allowed to operate in New York now, and more lawsuits coming. He's one of the world's worst businessmen. He just was handed a lot of money by his dad, and he didn't all the way fuck it up.
Yeah. So, like, what I've noticed about Trump and, like, some other people on TikTok, not you guys, but, like, some people, what they do is they sort of repeat things. So they might say something and then they might, say it again in a different way or in different words. So I could say, I'm really good at doing this, or, you know, I didn't think of it a good, yeah.
Well, look, you're fitting the mold of people who like Trump. You're not really sure what's going on or why you like him, but you just do. You fit the mold. You're
No, look,
exactly who he's
I
looking
don't
for.
actually like him. That's the funny thing.
Listen, I've talked to you before, and you always come up and tell us about people voting for him in Australia. And I know, like, I think that's your buffer where you're like, I don't really like him. But, like, if you don't like him, you're still his target audience. Sure.
Tap the
Winner?
screen, guys. Tap the screen. Did you check the messages?
Yeah.
If
I'll
you
check
would
right
like
now.
to send us a message, a dad joke is always welcome. Question, comment, concern, question for Australia, maybe, possibly. Uh, we will read them out loud if they won't get us banned. What just happened? Like, is he here?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. He kind of keeps coming and going. Dustin
Just
says
taking a call.
Los misallocated an S for the end of his name. Ears are awesome. What? Low. I don't know. I don't get it. I have no
He
idea.
went
All right.
away.
All right. Well, now we can cover some story. Listen, we have something that I think we have some stuff we'll cover today that I doubt anybody else covers. But Felice, the show is now yours.
What? Okay.
Just whatever order you want to go in. If you want to go in the same order we talked about, or if you want to just talk about that ProPublica. I don't know if you have a
No,
preference.
not today. It's too long of a story. I didn't say we were going to talk about that today.
Oh, I misunderstood. Okay, never mind. Yeah, let's just do the order then. I thought when you sent that to me earlier, you meant you want to do that today, but now I understand what you were saying.
No, I said you could choose either one for tomorrow since that's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm reading it now, and you made sense. I just read it wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, okay, so I'm just gonna start like an article you guys may have seen it, may not have seen it. It's number one on the outline. It's former Trump aides charged in Wisconsin over 2020 elector plot. So basically, what's going on is Wisconsin's attorney general just filed charges, right, against a former aide and two attorneys who advised President Donald Trump over a meeting of Republicans claiming to be the state's 2020 presidential electors. The charges are the first in Wisconsin relating to the meeting of electors. Prosecutors have separately charged Republicans who were involved in similar efforts, as we know, in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, and Georgia. The Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul, who I never knew his name until I read this, charged Trump campaign aide. So Michael Roman, you probably recognize Michael Roman. He's, also indicted in Arizona, in Georgia. He's pretty much named in every indictment. And attorneys Kenneth Chesborough and James Troupis, with one felony count of forgery each, according to the online court records. And so I don't think the actual documents are out yet, but if convicted in the state of Wisconsin, each faces a maximum sentence of 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. They are slated to make initial court appearances in September. So, as we already know, Kenneth Chesborough is the architect of the fake elector scheme. If you read the Georgia indictment, or the Arizona indictment is a good one too, that really details Kenneth Chesborough's role in developing the fake elector scheme. He was the one that first put it on paper. That's never good. And he's a witness. He's a state's witness. He turned on Trump, and he's a witness in, I think, like 5 to 7 cases. I don't know how many it is now. I don't know if maybe he'll be a witness against himself at this point. But like, I kind of see this as he's a state's witness in all these other cases, which I assume he's still also going to get in trouble for, because he's a defendant in many of them. But then in addition, I kind of just saw this as Kenneth Chesborough is from Wisconsin. This is his home state. So I feel like they're like, we are going to hold you accountable for what you have done to, the American people.
Why? Of course, a man with the last name
Cheesebro
is from Wisconsin. I didn't know that. You put
That's
up
what I
that.
saw this as. It's just like, finally his home state is like, you're not going to get away with all the lies you've told.
They should make everybody in court wear those cheese heads. You posted that video the other day. I think it was yesterday you put it up, the one of Colin Cowherd just like eviscerating Trump and his cabinet. And I was thinking about that while you were reading this. It's like, I think in terms a lot of times now, which is, I think it's probably fucked up. But like when I read something, I'm like, all right, how are the Republicans going to spin this? And I read everything that way. And when I read this, it's like, yeah, well, it's just a count of forgery. Who cares? Like, I just don't. If you looked at any other organization where like everybody had been arrested or charged with a crime,
wait,
you wouldn't
you're
be like,
saying you don't think it matters that like?
No, I'm saying I don't think that
Chesborough is in a lot of trouble. Like, he's the most hostile witness. He's a state's witness, but like he also, he's doing that for like, hey, if you guys will do anything to me for me help me with my sentencing. When I
Yeah.
heard Michael Cohen talk about, like, you know, that's what the hush money trial had a lot of interesting information in it. If you read the transcripts, was Michael Cohen talking about being, you know, cooperating with the DOJ and how basically they were like, F you, like, we're not helping you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, Michael Cohen did as much as he could do. Like, he cooperated in the Mueller investigation, in the federal investigation that was started. Like, he was cooperating as much as he could, and in the end, they were just like, "Meh," like.
Yeah, we don't
And I
care.
think we're going to see something very similar with
No,
Kenny Chesbro.
no, what I was saying is that that's what, like, I'm always looking for the spin MAG is going to put on, and their spin is going to be like,
Oh,
oh,
I
it's just
see.
one count of four. It's just four. Who hasn't? And they'll say, who hasn't forged something in their life? And then they'll be like, well, what, have you never signed your friend's name or your wife's name? Like that's the same thing that they're being charged with here. But it hit me while you were reading that. I mean, how many people haven't been? The shorter list of Trump people is like who hasn't been charged. That's a shorter list than who worked for Trump that was charged. Like it's much shorter to go with the people that weren't charged.
Yeah, and just to give, I guess this would be a good time to give a little teaser. Like when we're talking about like ProPublica article, you know, ProPublica are the ones when I first started doing lives with Jay, I was like, they're gonna win a Pulitzer Prize for their reporting on the SCOTUS, like for what
Yeah,
they revealed about SCOTUS, and they basically do investigative journalism, but high level forensic type audits. Like I mean, these people
it's
follow the money
incredible.
in ways I've never seen people follow the money. And so
What the
they had an article come out very, you know, they put their articles out at like 3:30 on the West Coast, like so it's like 6 a.m. on on the East Coast, and this article came out, and it is wild. It is a financial investigative journalistic piece, basically exposing how everyone who testifies like essentially for Trump or may be called to testify for Trump. People like, you know, Dan Scavino, all these people who are named in these indictments over and over have had a little come up.
yeah.
Let's just and the timing is unbelievable. And you know it's real when like they asked Trump's team for like comment on this article, and he immediately sent them a cease and desist and threatened them if they put it out. Like
Well, and
that's when you know you've got.
you know how like if you we talk about this all the time, like the mob trials, like if you take everything like in the mob and like and you take all the things that a mob boss said, their defense is always like, yeah, like you're taking this out of context, or oh, he said this one time, but that's not what he meant. When you read this ProPublica, when we cover it, like Donald Trump operates exactly like a mob boss. You remember him like complaining, "Where's my Roy Cohn?" when Jeff Sessions recused himself. He's like, "Wait, I thought I was going to have somebody to stand in the way." He expected that. Donald Trump, for his whole life, has been rich and untouchable, and he just thinks he deserves somebody to stand in his way and take all the bullets and not allow anything to stick to him. And so when you see how he operates with these people, fortunately for us, there's been a few people who have come forward who rejected Trump's payments or offers, and just hearing the way that they speak, like Trump associates showing up to see them at the gym. They're just at the gym, and two Trump people just show up at the gym and are like, "Hey, the boss just wants you to know he cares about you and he knows you'll do the right thing." Like what else could that be? What else could that be other than like a warning shot? Why else would you send two people to somebody's gym while they're working out to say those types of things? Like, it's incredible what ProPublica has figured out.
Always follow the money, especially in Trump's case. And then the other thing, I guess, we can talk about, which it's very juicy. So it's interesting this fake electors stuff came out with Kenny Chesborough getting indicted again because in the fake electors case that's going on in Michigan, their testimony is going on right now, like the trial is going on, and they had, I don't know if you guys remember the video or not, but there's a video you can look up of because the Michigan electors are in their own. Well, they're probably in the same category of unintelligent, right alongside the Arizona electors who decided to film themselves committing the crime. You know what I mean? That's always good when you're about to commit a felony, is to film yourself doing it and post it on the internet. So there's a video of them at the Capitol, like banging on the door and being like, we're the real electors. Like, you need
Yeah.
to let us in. Because, like, in Michigan is one of those states, like Georgia, if you've read the Georgia indictment, they had to sneak into the Capitol building. The reason is because the state laws say you have to cast your elector votes from that building. So they, like, snuck in
Yeah.
on December 14th to cast their votes. And the Michigan electors, I assume, have a similar law because they were trying. Basically, I guess now he's a captain, a police captain, but the guy at the door, it's hilarious. But
Well,
he basically, they're like, "Where are the electors?" And he's like, "Yeah, the electors are already in here. They've checked in. Like, you're not
yeah.
coming in." And here's the so he was on the stand, and this happened in real time, which is fascinating. He was on the stand, like being questioned, and they're like, "Well, who else have you talked to?" And this guy, they had no idea, is like, "Oh, federal investigators came to see me. Jack Smith's team came to find this police captain." So the federal investigation, the January 6th case, I mean, that could mean a couple things, right? The investigation is ongoing. That could be a superseding indictment. That could be a separate indictment entirely. But the
Yeah.
investigators are traveling around investigating
Well,
still.
I just think that like I wonder if anybody at some point will take a step back and just recognize, of course that's not a thing. Of course sneaking into a building to cast your electors, of course that's not a legal process, right? Nothing to do with elections would require you to sneak in, pretend to be a set of electors. What Georgia's was the one in the middle of the night, right? Or was that Wisconsin? Which
It
one
was
was the middle of the
Georgia.
night? It was
I hold.
Georgia.
I
Yeah.
just need to turn on the air really quick.
You're good. Yeah. And that's the kind of people that we're working here with MAGA. And that's why MAGA doesn't ever fall apart when bad things happen, right? When their people get caught, when it's painfully obvious they tried to steal an election, it doesn't matter to MAGA because they're like, this is a club for them. This is their life. This is a religion to them that they've just bought in. And so nothing seems outlandish to them. And that's what you see in these types of movements. You see people getting more and more and more absurd as the truth comes out more and more and more and more. They have to insulate themselves. But imagine telling your friend that. Imagine one of these electors, and you're like, "I'm the real elector." They're like, "What do you mean?" You're like, "Yeah, let me tell you about it." So you know there was those electors that did it in the middle of the day. Well, we snuck in at night, and we all signed a paper, so we're the electors. Like nobody would believe that outside of your own dumb little cult.
Oh, as long as we're talking about this stuff, it's occurred to me it might be flow better to go over. Let me just, there's some news that nobody's gonna like, but we should talk about really quickly in the Georgia case, which I need to find which number it is. Oh,
Debbie Downer.
14. Yeah, I have way too many tabs open. Okay. So, argument in Trump's Georgia appeal set for October. I believe it's October 4th. So
Yeah.
this is a Washington Post article called "Arguments in Trump's Georgia Appeal Set for October, Likely Delaying Trial." If you remember, we went over judge. That whole evidentiary hearing happened about Fonnie Willis and Nathan Wade's relationship. We went over Judge McAfee's verdict on that, or McAfee, whichever it
I
is.
like McAfee. I like McAfee.
um we went over like that verdict. We read through it piece by piece, and what he said, he basically said, like, if someone needs to leave, if Nathan Wade leaves, Fonnie Willis can remain on the case. We read through that whole judgment, which was extremely well written and interesting. And Trump and 8 other of the defendants, I can't remember if there's 8, filed an appeal, right? So, and yesterday in Georgia, not shady at all, right? They decided to schedule the day to hear that appeal in 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, that's
So
not suspicious at all. So, most likely, the next, I mean, there's other little hearings. If you read through this article, it'll tell you about it. Like, right now, Judge McAfee is going through, like, there's little things going on moving forward with the case, but it is assumed that now that the appeals court has set the date to hear the appeal, the people involved in that appeal will say, like, let's hold off until the appeal.
yeah, and look, I really think I don't think it's a stretch to say if Trump doesn't win the presidency, like he might leave. He may be out of here. Luckily, he's got some friends in Russia and Saudi Arabia that he could probably go to. But now it looks like unless we see, I don't know. I didn't read enough about it. Maybe you know. Is there any shot they can now expedite the J6 trial? Like I know they said they could, but I haven't read anything that makes me
Yeah.
even think Jack
It
Smith is
will,
going to expedite that.
that's the next. Oh, the J6 trial? No, that's not. They're not waiting on Jack Smith to do something. Like, it's all dependent on SCOTUS, right? Like, and that ruling should come out by end of June. Like, we're waiting on many terrifying SCOTUS decisions. Get excited. It's going to be like a minefield in January. I mean, in June. Like, what terrible news are we going to receive today? But it's about the presidential immunity. That's why Chutkin has the case on pause until SCOTUS rules on the
Right.
presidential immunity thing, which most likely will be, hey, okay, we're gonna send this back to Chutkin's court, and you guys need to have an evidentiary hearing about the indictment, and then decide which are official and unofficial acts specifically. So yeah, that I mean probably that case will move forward before the election, if any case, especially now that we've
Right.
seen what's going on in Georgia. If any case will move forward, it will be that one, or it depends, right? Like Judge Aileen Cannon, she's been overturned twice by the 11th Circuit, not ever in her life specifically already about this case. So also it depends on if Jack Smith, because and this is not coming from me. This is coming from Andrew Weissman, who's the former FBI general counsel. And he was talking about this. And he was saying, like, what Trump is doing is the best reason they will ever have to go to the 11th Circuit. Like, essentially,
Yeah.
when you put the judiciary, court employees, when you are making threats and putting people in danger, there's no better way, like, reason to essentially appeal if Judge Cannon refuses to protect the witnesses and people in that case. Like Andrew Weissman's like, I think that would be the best shot that Jack Smith has, but that's dependent on what their strategy is, what their moves are. So that's where we're at.
Do you know when the congressional hearing is scheduled? I know the Republicans are going to call in Eileen Cannon about interference and having questionable motives. Do you know when that? Because I know they got Merrick Garland today. I assume the Republicans are going to bring in Eileen Cannon
Well, they've
next week.
subpoenaed Alvin Bragg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
good.
don't think they're not going to ask Aileen Cannon to recuse herself because her husband worked for John Rosati, who's in the mafia and Trump's lifelong friend. I doubt that
Okay.
anyone cares about those. No, they only care as long as you're corrupt for Trump, it's fine, right?
Right.
They've never followed a clean line of logic in their lives.
Oh, so you're saying they're not going to call Eileen Cannon? That's crazy.
You
That's
mean
absolutely
Congress
crazy.
isn't? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
no?
The one that's like the most clear. Like she has a little bit more than $35 worth of conflicts.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I mean,
Because that's
I
their
don't.
claim. That's their claim on Mershon is $35 and his daughter worth of conflicts.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
$35, 15 for a T-shirt to the Biden campaign. That's a true story.
Your friend Josh is here. Do you want to say hi to Josh?
Who's Josh?
Border Patrol Josh.
Oh, sure.
He's
We
not in
can.
the box. I was just saying if you want to say hi to him.
Oh,
He's
hi,
like here.
Josh. Okay, anyways, like let's move on from this. The next thing I want to talk about today, opening statements are going on right now actually in the Hunter Biden trial in Delaware related to the weapons charges, right? He's on trial for 3 felonies. And so actually, I was just going to start saying them, but I might get them wrong, so I'm going to read them. It's just like falsifying a form or yeah, owning or purchasing a weapon while you are in active addiction, but these aren't the right words I'm using.
Did we go? Did
Can
we
you
go?
look it up
Oh,
for me, please?
yeah, I'm
The
pulling it
three
up right now.
felonies.
Yeah. Um,
So thank you.
I have to go into the freaking news app. Where is it?
Here, I
There
do
we
it.
go. Did we cover the story yesterday of like the details of how the weapons charge actually came about? Did
Oh,
we?
that's what we're doing
We
right
are doing
now.
it today. Okay, cool. I couldn't remember if you. I know we talked about it. I didn't remember if you told the story yesterday or not. I
Nope.
can't find it.
And we talked about it this morning, and I said we should go over the Hunter Biden stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a good article, which I believe is four, because I added that Kenneth Chesborough article at the last minute to the top. Yeah, it's four. It's called "For Hunter Biden: A Dramatic Day with His Brother's Widow Led to Charges." 6 years ago, Hallie Biden threw out a pew pew that prosecutors say Hunter Biden bought improperly. What's interesting just about this is I don't think people really know the story of what happened. Like there's a lot of detail in it. It's very interesting. Like I really because and I have the Hunter Biden indictment printed out, but it doesn't say anything. Like this
Right.
indictment is three felonies and you could tell it like a story, but there's nothing in the indictment. It's just like the basically the three charges. I think it's 4 pages. So this would be probably like the best description of how it came to happen. It's kind of heartbreaking, but I thought we should go through this because yeah, like I said, opening statements are going on right now. Yesterday at least, when the jury was being impaneled, Hunter Biden's mother, Jill, is there in the courtroom supporting him. Obviously Joe Biden's not. There would just need to be so much
And
security, but he made a statement which about his son, which I'm just going to read. I just thought it'd be interesting to read. This is the statement from Joe Biden yesterday. "I am the president, but I'm also a dad. Jill and I love our son, and we are so proud of the man he is today. Hunter's resilience in the face of adversity and the strength he has brought to his recovery are inspiring to us. A lot of families have loved ones who have overcome addiction and know what we mean. As the president, I don't and won't comment on pending federal cases, but as a dad, I have boundless love for my son, confidence in him, and respect for his strength. Our family has been through a lot together, and Jill and I are going to continue to be there for Hunter and our family with our love and support."
I just want the people who hate Biden here who are upset about this. Like, just imagine Hunter was a person in your family. Like, if there's somebody in your family in the throes of addiction and they do some crazy things while they are in the throes of addiction, are you going to hold that against them the rest of your life? Or now that they're clean, are you going to celebrate? Like, that's kind of the key, right? When somebody gets sober, they celebrate dates, they talk about it. It's open. They try not to be ashamed of it the rest of their life. I just want to point out that for every, like, you guys may not like Joe Biden, and that's fine, and you may not like Hunter Biden, and that's fine, but ultimately these are still human beings, and you're going after somebody who overcame an addiction that's very difficult to overcome. Most people don't. Most people wind up losing that battle to addiction, and he beat it. And this is somebody's son, and this is a father saying, like, hey, we are proud that our son overcame addiction. We're proud of who he is today. And you guys are still shitting on that. And I would just say, check yourselves for a second. Drop your politics at the door and recognize that these still are human beings. This is somebody who did something that most people can't. And he's doing his best to own up to it, and he's dealing with the consequences, right? This was years ago while he was addicted to drugs, and he's dealing with the consequences of it right now. And his dad is the president, and his dad didn't squash any of this. Like, for everybody that wants to talk about the two-tier justice system and a weaponized justice department, this is happening. This is happening with Joe Biden's Justice Department. So I'm tired of the people going after Hunter in this way and Joe Biden this way, because you're so desperate to make Joe Biden look as guilty as Donald Trump is, right? Donald Trump keeps getting in trouble, and that makes you mad. So you're just going to go attack a loving father and a son who overcame a lot. That's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed by that.
I don't actually think that's the most embarrassing part. I think that's expected. I don't think MAGA has empathy. Well, I mean, I don't think they have any empathy. So
I agree.
I think that that's like the very when you're very disconnected from your emotions empathy and your ability to be vulnerable. Like, I think that's like par for the course for MAGA. But what is very hypocrite, where you guys actually are hypocrites, is the 2A stuff. If you guys again could follow a consistent line of logic to save your lives, you would be praying that he does not get convicted of this. This sets a very bad precedent for you 2A worshippers.
Yeah, you're right
That's what I
because
would like someone to talk about. Actually, and I'll give credit, that guy, I think it was at the beginning of yesterday, Sean Patrick,
yeah.
he did say out loud, "No, I don't want Hunter Biden to be guilty because the Second Amendment, because I don't believe like this should be precedent should be set." I heard that, Sean, if you're in here.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
did. That's one of the only things he said that was actually right, but that is true. If you guys were not giant hypocrites, you would be supporting Hunter through this, but
yeah.
you are, so.
Yeah, look, Mary Jane has been a Schedule One drug for a long time. How many millions of people do you think lied on their application to get a firearm when it says, like, do you take any of these? Like, it was a Schedule One, including just recently, even in states where it's legal. That question still. I remember when I purchased the last firearm that I purchased, and that was a question. And I had my medical card, and this was a worry. It just happened. We didn't know exactly how to handle that, right? We didn't know because I was allowed to have it, and I'm also allowed to have a weapon, and it was confusing. But this would put millions of people in jail. If everybody was dealing with this same charge, millions of people would be in jail, including most of you out there right now that are big 2A proponents. Like we all like to hang out with Mary Jane. Okay, so I agree with Felice. That's an excellent point. If you are a staunch 2A, you should probably root for Hunter Biden not to be charged here.
Convicted. He's been charged. Okay, so let's, you guys are gonna like this article, I promise. It's very interesting. I guarantee you do not know the whole story of the day that all this went down. Right? Did you know this whole story?
No, no, yes, I was out on a walk and I was blown away listening to this. I
I
I
got
had no idea this was the
jaywalking.
whole story. Oh,
Starting no, my neurologist, remember I had
that's
to
pretty
leave because I
good.
had to go to the doctor. I saw my
Yeah,
neurologist. He, all the stuff I was talking about with walking, how as a Division 1 athlete I realized, like, because I was diagnosed with PTSD, that my body easily creates cortisol. So actually, like, for me, walking is better than like high intensity workouts.
yeah.
Like, yeah, he totally agreed with me.
I just learned about that the other day.
I told you that, Jay.
No,
This
you
is one
didn't.
of the
No, you
moments.
didn't. No, I know this one. I have the video. You may have told me it, but that didn't mean I learned it then. I learned it later when there was pictures and things to go along with it. Yeah.
You do need visual aids. I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Okay, so again, this article, it's, if you don't aren't in the Discord, if you want to be in the Discord, then message Jen or Jay and we'll get you a link to the Discord where we put all the things we go, articles and things we go through in the outline. If you are not, this is a Washington Post article called "For Hunter Biden, a Dramatic Day with His Brother's Widow Led to Charges." Okay, so away we go.
I
Keep
want to,
tapping
can
the
I say
screen, guys. Oh,
one
sorry.
more thing here? I recognize that and look, Hunter Biden gets a lot of grief for this too with the widow, and people call him a scumbag for that. I just want to say that on its face, to all of us, that seems bizarre. I have a very close friend who
I don't
is
think that seems bizarre. Why do you think that?
to be with your brother's widow.
To
I don't know.
to
To me,
lose
that would
your
feel
brother and then to, like, in complete grief, like,
because I
serenading.
can't.
I don't think, I know many people that have done similar things.
Okay, yeah, because I can't fathom those feelings. Not that I think it's impossible, but what I was going to say is a very good friend of mine, his brother was a police officer, died in an automobile accident, and a year later, my friend married his widow and is raising those kids, and they are very, very happy. And it's tricky for them because they like it's weird for him. I've talked to him, like he has to balance out the fact that she was in love with his brother and she'll always love him, but he's like, yeah, I just like I'm okay with that. I don't need to be jealous that she loved somebody else first. So I understand that a lot of people give him shit for that, but it is a
Trauma
situation that
bonding. There's no
yeah,
stronger bond than a trauma bond.
most of us will never have that experience, but exactly, trauma bonding. And I don't think it's a fair criticism to go after him for that. And she seems to have agreed that it was a good thing for her. Like she needed that as well. So, anyways,
Well, I don't know who's going. He's not charged with that. Like, it's
No, I'm
illegal.
just saying that's again, my mind is like, what are Republicans saying? And I hear this, and it's in our comments all the time too. It's
Oh,
always,
I didn't know that. Oh,
oh yeah,
well,
this
that
is one of
seems
their
so
big digs.
inconsequential. Well, whatever. That's very
But
inconsequential
it's
to what's going on.
but it's like it's a self-report, right? They see it as a form of like, I think they see it as a form of cuckery. Like, I would never be with a woman that my brother was with. Like, I'm not a cuck.
Oh, is
I'm not a
that
pussy.
what the
Yeah, I think that's what it
psychological
is.
motivation is about? You feel like there's something either disloyal or okay,
Yeah,
well,
it's the same thing with like those alphas where they're like, I can have a lot of partners,
yeah,
but
it
I'm
has
never
to
going
do
to
with the
marry somebody
patriarchy.
with
Yeah.
no partners. Yeah, yeah, that's where I think that stems from.
Yeah. Okay. So more misogyny. Got it.
Your favorite.
Yeah. Okay, so Hallie Biden awoke on an October morning in 2018 after Hunter Biden, the brother of her deceased husband Beau, had spent the night. While he slept, she dropped her two kids off at school and then returned to rummage through the truck he had parked outside, anxious as to what the admitted drug addict might be hiding. When she found a newly purchased Colt Cobra 38 handgun, she was hit by a wave of anger and fear. And that, I don't think it says in this article, but that was like some sort of weapon that his brother had, right? Like it reminded him, he says that in his memoir, that
Yeah.
like it reminded him of when he would go like to the range with Beau,
That's why
essentially.
he bought yeah, that's why he bought that particular
Yeah,
model.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but it doesn't say that in this article, so I thought I'd mention it. She was hit by a wave of anger and fear. She put the gun in a shopping bag and drove a few miles to a high-end grocery store where she tossed it. Yeah, this is dumb. Where she tossed it into a trash can. Then set off a chain of events that would trigger a flurry of frantic text messages, launch another dark chapter in a doomed and difficult romance, and lead to Hunter Biden's federal trial beginning Monday. When Hallie told Hunter, whose father at the time was contemplating a run for presidency, how she had disposed of the weapon, I'm just going to say weapon because it probably shouldn't say that over and over, he erupted. Are you insane? He texted furiously, according to the documents submitted by prosecutors. Tell me now, this is no game, and you're being totally irresponsible and unhinged. 8 seconds later, he wrote again, tell me now. Haley reacted with disbelief that Hunter Biden, a drug addict who'd just stashed a weapon in a truck outside her home, was accusing her of recklessness. Quote, check yourself into a local rehab, Hunter. This has all got to stop, she responded. Don't run away again. Please don't leave. She had to go, she added. Police were arriving. The text messages submitted by federal prosecutors as part of their case against Hunter Biden for lying on a weapon purchase form reflect the tortured nature of a Biden family drama that unfolded after the death of Joe Biden's son, Beau, of cancer in 2015. Hallie was the grieving widow of Beau, the rising family star. If you guys don't know, like right before Beau Biden was gonna, or was diagnosed with cancer, he had just, I believe, been sworn in as the Attorney General of
Yeah.
Delaware.
Yeah. He was a star, and he was like a
Yeah,
Democratic
like
rising star.
everyone, yeah, he was
Yeah.
like gonna be the man, right? He'd been, he's a veteran, and all these things, and the hopes were bright. Okay, Hallie was the grieving widow of Beau, the rising family star many expected to win the presidency himself. She and Hunter, Beau's surviving brother, had a turbulent romantic relationship at a time when both were struggling and vulnerable. At one point, she wrote him, "You want me to relapse." In public, leading political figures and journalists were weighing Joe Biden's presidential prospects and the chance that he could rescue the Democratic Party and end Donald Trump's chaotic tenure. In private, according to text messages and people close to the family, accusations of betrayal and unfaithfulness multiplied as the family struggled to find its way out of a morass of drugs, grief, and troubled love affairs. The rash decisions Hunter and Hallie made that October day have now propelled him into court, enormously complicating a Biden re-election campaign that many Democrats believe will determine the future of American democracy. with prosecutors preparing to question Hallie Biden and other women from Hunter Biden's past, his ex wife, Kathleen, too, and to introduce personal text messages as evidence. The trial could spill deeply personal topics into the glare of the campaign. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
Questions?
my
You check
thought,
the
like,
messages also?
yeah, I've been checking them
Okay,
periodically.
cool.
My thought is that it's not that uncommon
Yeah.
for wealthy families, specifically wealthy families who are in the public eye. It's not that uncommon for their kids to struggle. I have my ex's
Yeah,
uncle,
trauma. Oh,
very
for
very
sure.
wealthy, very well known where they live. And his kids had everything, and I was playing golf with him one time, shocker, but he told me, he's like, man, I wish I could go back and do things differently. He's like, I'm not really sure exactly how to do it, but like, I know I gave my kids everything and it didn't work, and I know that they felt like they needed to like live up to the standards that I had accomplished, but there was no way for them to do that. Like, he's like, just when I got in the industry. But like, his kids all struggled, and with addiction, and with self-acceptance, and with fidelity. Like, it's not that uncommon to see somebody who's famous, wealthy, and successful see their kids struggle. It's something that I think people should take more into consideration when they go into the public spotlight. Like, how will this affect my children? So this is a story that regularly happens as far as like a family in distress. I don't think it's that uncommon.
I would say my 20s were like much less extreme as Hunter Biden. Like if you read Hunter Biden's memoir, like what he if addiction is a spectrum, like we're talking about something on the extreme end. Like the stories in that memoir, it's a miracle he is alive. Like there's no other way to say it. It's an absolute miracle. But I like if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's money does not buy you happiness. I thought that like if I just get work in the corporate America and make a lot of money, then I won't be miserable anymore. That's what I spent my 20s doing. Then I ended up in South America because I realized money it's more, it makes you more miserable. I totally agree. People like it, having things is not a sign that your child does not mean your children will not have trauma.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
I think that's maybe one thing I appreciate about our partnership is we almost never talk about money. In fact, I don't know that we've ever really talked about money at all.
That's true. We
Yeah.
haven't. Many more important things to talk about. Anyways, okay. So, guys, keep tapping the screen if you would like to donate to us and leave a question, comment, concern, dad joke, whatever the case may be. We appreciate it. So, Hunter Biden faces charges of lying on an official form when he bought the weapon in 2018, falsely saying he was not using illegal drugs when in fact he was in the throes of addiction. Prosecutors have put Hallie, who had firsthand knowledge of both the weapon purchase and Hunter's addiction, on a list they are prepared to call. In other words, the widow of President Biden's beloved son, Beau, could be taking the witness stand as part of the prosecutor's effort to convict his surviving son. I mean, this is, you know what I mean? How, this is awful for this family. Can you imagine? This account of the dramatic day that led to the federal charges is drawn from interviews, court records, police reports, and in some cases, the participants' own memoirs. Attorneys for Hunter Biden and Hallie Biden declined to comment. The White House also declined to comment. People close to Hunter Biden say he has largely stabilized his life in the intervening 6 years, and they'd worry about the toll such a trial could take on someone who has struggled with addiction through much of his life. Hunter Biden's ex-wife Kathleen, who left the family orbit after Beau died, and Hunter started a relationship with Hallie, is also on the witness list. She could not be reached for comment. Associates say President Biden himself is worried about his son. He is ensured that on Monday, I said this yesterday, that he was in Delaware. He did not go to the court, but he was with his son in Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware, at his home, just miles from the federal courthouse where the trial will unfold. So here's basically where the story starts. A romance born in grief. Hallie Oliveri, I'm not sure how to say her last, Oliveri, grew up in Wilmington and knew the Biden family from an early age. Her mother, Joan, was a childhood friend of Joe Biden. And God, it's, by the way, if there's one thing you get from this, it's how small of a place Delaware really is and how, like, everyone knows everyone. Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
so much different than Phoenix. Okay, grew up in Wilmington and knew the Biden family from an early age. Her mother, Joan, was a childhood friend of Joe Biden, and he once joked about trying to date her in high school. So Joe Biden tried to date Hallie's mom when they were in high school. This is the quote. I was the Catholic kid. She was the Jewish girl. He said in September 2015. I still tried. I didn't get anywhere. Her parents owned
Sorry,
a
Joe.
local.
He
I
sounds a little.
know.
He still sounds like I
I
really,
know.
really
Shoulda,
thought.
woulda, coulda.
We we all have the one that got away. We all got
I
that.
know. Her parents, I know, and I've read other articles, and like everyone says, like to him, Hallie is like his child. Her parents owned a local dry cleaning business, and she played field hockey at Tatnall School, a private school on the same leafy street where Joe Biden now lives. By the late 1990s, she was dating Beau Biden and often spending time with his brother Hunter and Hunter's new wife, Kathleen. Weird stuff in retrospect.
Yeah.
Awkward double dates.
Yeah.
Super awkward. Guys, thank you for continuing to tap the screen as I read. Beau proposed on Nantucket. Oh, that's so cliche for New England. On Thanksgiving 2001, and the couple married in a small Catholic church on the island a year later. According to public accounts, the two Biden brothers, who has children, survived the 1972 car crash that killed their mother and baby sister. Like, do you guys know that too? I mean, this family has been through so much trauma. Like, it's no wonder that Hunter has addiction problems. So in 1972 car crash that killed their mother and baby sister, now had growing families and successful careers. Hunter was a lawyer and lobbyist in Washington, a Yale educated lawyer. And Beau would soon be fulfilling the family political legacy, becoming Delaware's attorney general and setting his sights on the governorship and possibly one day the presidency. Kathleen and Hallie bonded, sharing an interest in running and facing together the challenges of marrying into a prominent political family. When Kathleen discovered that Hunter was having an affair in 2014, after seeing photos on his iPad, Hallie was one of the few people she confided in. Awkward. According to Kathleen's 2022 memoir, If We Break. I've never read that. I might have to read that one next. This is a quote, if you leave him, Kathleen, like this is Hallie Biden counseling Hunter Biden's wife.
This was
right?
tough to read.
This is about, like whether or not she discovered an affair like whether or not she would leave him. If you leave him, Kathleen, he'll find someone else, and then you'll have to live with that, she recalled Hallie telling her. Kathleen confronted Hunter, and they began meeting with a therapist even as they were drifting apart. But any equilibrium within the family was disrupted when Beau Biden, after several years of battling brain cancer, died on May 30th, 2015. This family cannot catch a break. As the family mourned, Kathleen grew suspicious of the time Hunter was spending with Hallie, but she felt guilty questioning his desire to support his brother's family. So he was over with Hallie and her family, and Kathleen was like, what's going on here?
She's probably right. She's probably right to be suspicious.
In retrospect, trust your gut is what we've learned. But she felt guilty questioning his desire to support his brother's family, she later wrote. Ultimately, her daughters, so Hunter Biden's children, right? Ultimately, her daughters found his phone, discovering the affair and telling their mother during a tearful exchange in a therapist's office.
Brutal.
They took their mom to therapy to tell her. That's, oh God. See, it can always get worse. This is one of those this is why I watch reality TV, just so you know. No matter how bad your life is, you could be, cameras could be following you around.
I have a friend that got a phone call one day from his little brother's baseball coach's wife and was like, hey, or it was from his mom's phone, but she was on the phone. She's like, hey, I have your mom's phone. She just ran out of my backyard. And that's how their kids all found out that their mom was cheating on their dad with the baseball coach.
My God.
Yeah.
So Mesa is things happen in
It was,
Mesa.
well, yeah, good guess that it was in Mesa,
Because
actually.
things like that do happen in Mesa.
Yeah,
The
it did
suburbs
happen.
be crazy.
It did happen. Yeah.
Several months after Kathleen filed for divorce from Hunter in 2017, news broke in the New York Post that Hunter and Hallie, oh, this gets weird. Hunter and Hallie were in a romantic relationship. Thanks a lot, Rupert Murdoch. Okay, Hunter issued a statement. This is all Rupert Murdoch's fault. By the way, Rupert Murdoch just got married for like the ninth time.
Nice.
This last weekend.
They say ninth time's the charm. That's what
No,
they
but
say.
like to like some very smart scientists. Like he felt like a genius woman scientist who married her.
Yeah, how old is she?
Like 60 something.
Yeah, so she's gonna outlive
She's
him.
about
Good
30
move by her.
years. Yeah, I looked it up out of
Good
yeah.
move.
Someone said
Good
fifth
move.
time. There you go. Okay. So several months after Kathleen filed for divorce from Hunter in 2017, news broke in the New York Post that Hunter and Hallie were in a romantic relationship. Hunter issued a statement saying that he and Hallie were, quote, incredibly lucky to have found the love and support we have for each other in such a difficult time. It's just, you, first of all, like for Kathleen and the children, you know what I'm saying? Yes, do move away and start a new life.
Yeah.
And, probably start boxing to get some of the rage out. If, because you know how this article says, like, Kathleen was confiding in Hallie. You know what I mean? And saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's cheating on me." She was like her support system. So that's tough.
All of this shit makes me so uncomfortable. This is why I don't watch reality TV, because like other people's shit yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. But we can keep going. I was listening to this while I was drawing pictures with my daughter this morning, and I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, incredibly lucky to have found, the quote is, incredibly lucky to have found the love and support we have for each other in such a difficult time. And this gets even weirder. Hunter also urged his reluctant father to provide a statement as to break the news to the rest of the family and to the world. Dad, I told him, so this is from Hunter's memoir. Dad, I told him, if people find out, but they think you're not approving of this, it makes it seem wrong. Well, if the shoe fits. You know what I'm saying? If the shoe fits. Hunter
Yeah.
wrote in his memoir, the kids have to know that there's nothing wrong with this, and the one person who could tell them that is you. Joe Biden released a
Kind
statement
of
saying,
doesn't it kind of show though what kind of respect the rest of the family has for Joe? That Hunter's like, look, they respect you so much. If it comes from you, we'll be okay.
well, I think like as a family unit, unless you're gonna completely splinter apart and like never speak to each other again, yeah, like there's got to be some sort of reconciliation. Thank God they were in therapy. It sounds like there was a
Yeah.
therapist involved with this. Like, thank God. I'm sure she has a lot of billable hours.
Yeah, and what would you do if you were Joe Biden in this situation? What are you going to do? Just turn your back on your family because, like, on its face, it seems weird? Yeah, like Joe Biden has not been investigated that much because there's not that many crimes. But every time we do get a glimpse into Joe Biden's
I
personal
know he's
life,
just a
he
decent
comes out
person.
as like, oh, this is just like Lindsey Graham said, like he is as decent as a man as God ever created. Like he is a decent human being who tries his best to get things right. And that's exposed time and time again. I know that's going to make the MAGA folks in here very upset, but it's just because your guy's a piece of shit, so that the dichotomy makes you think that Joe Biden's the bad guy, but it's not your fault. You're in a cult.
Okay, so Joe Biden released a statement saying that the couple had had and his wife Jill's full and complete support. We are all lucky that Hunter and Hallie found each other as they were putting their lives together again after such sadness, it said. Like, I do get it on Joe's part because you've got a kid, you've lost, right? How many? You've lost two children. You have a child in deep depression and the throes of addiction. You're terrified they may overdose. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? Do you push him farther away? Like, yeah, that's an impossible decision. I do think love is the answer, but as anyone who's struggled with addiction knows, like it's got to come from Hunter. You can't change. There's nothing anyone can do until he wants to take accountability. So, anyways, Hunter and Hallie rented a house in Annapolis, Maryland, trying to start a new life together. But it was a complicated life. As Hunter and Hallie sought to support each other, they also served as reminders of the person both had loved and lost. Like, imagine, you like love this person, but they're constantly triggering you. It must not have been good. And it got even more complicated when something else was thrown into the mix, a weapon.
Real quick, Blinn, I see you in the request. Will you just let Jen know if you're opposition? And then if so, we'll go ahead and bring you up. Guys, keep tapping. And again, if you have anything you want to add to this discussion or tell us a joke, above Felice's head is the Cash App and the Venmo. And we would be certainly grateful for any donations and mostly jokes.
Depression, drugs, and a weapon. Late in the afternoon of October 12th, 2018, a salesman was standing in the window of StarQuest Shooters and Survival Supply in Wilmington, which sits near ice cream and bicycle stores and across from a ballpark. Hunter, this town sounds so idyllic, by the way. Like when I was, there was another really good article in the Washington Post, like describing this town. You know when you do like like a 1,000-piece puzzle, and it's like some
No,
like lovely like colonial town. Yeah, that's what this sounds like.
I I hate puzzles maybe more than anything in this world. Just so you know, I hate them. I don't get it. My brain just does not find enjoyment with puzzles. It's kind of a
Well,
sad thing. I
makes me like you a little less.
understand. I understand that I'm the problem in that scenario, not the puzzle. It's not the puzzle's fault. What's up, Blinn?
Hey guys, I saw you on here, and in general, I generally lean to the right. I will be naturally the chimes go off. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Sounds lovely. It's very calming.
All right. So I lean to the right. I'm not a big Trump fan, but I would be voting for him. But I wanted to make this comment. Back when Hunter had his plea deal and it fell apart, I didn't follow it that much, but it seemed to me that he was getting a favorable deal because of his name. But also now, I also feel that he's clearly being prosecuted because of his name. And they seem like opposite opinions, but I feel this. I feel the same, that he was getting let off and getting favorable treatment because of his last name, and now he's being prosecuted clearly because it's a way to get back at his father and try to get towards his father. And so anyway, I just wanted to point that out. It just seems odd to me that, from my own viewpoint, I don't know which way you're going to do that. I wouldn't think that it's because of his name. Does
I
that make
think that's
sense?
a very astute observation.
I
I think
agree.
that two things can be true at once. Absolutely. Like, right? They can seem like conflicting, but not necessarily be. I
So
think that
how do we
Hunter
avoid this in
Biden,
the
well,
future?
here's what I think. Hunter Biden is a first time offendant. Right, offender. And so diversion is probably what he would. That is not outside of the realm of possibility. And because of the 2A lobby, like just the amount, they call them the Holy Trinity, the three wise men, the largest alcohol, tobacco, and firearms in DC, because of the extreme amount of lobbying that the NRA does. Like, they don't usually, like, right? How many people do you know who are getting charged for buying a gun and lying about whether or not they like were on Schedule 1 drugs, like including the devil's lettuce? So it doesn't happen that often. So I actually do agree with you. What is because he's a first time offender, normally he would get diversion. So yeah, like, but I also agree with, well, it's hard. I don't think it was so skewed in the beginning because of the first time offender thing. Like, they do usually get diversion.
I
I
have to
think
be
the
honest.
tax case is different, and I'm glad they're separated out. Like, if you know what I'm saying? So, and that's now going to be a separate trial. Like, what
Right.
was weird, a little bit weird to me was like, they were bundling them all together, and then, or it was just a little bit more convoluted that way. And then the other issue was that, and this is what not David Weiss. David Weiss was then assigned special prosecutor, but whoever it was, I can't remember his name, that said, hey, wait a minute, like, this plea agreement basically says we can't bring any other charges in the future. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or it was basically saying it was broad. Like, that
Yeah.
was the issue, that it might have precluded some other piece being brought in the future. And I
But
think
if
that's
I'm
what they
Hunter's
looked at, and
attorney,
that's what changes their mind.
if you're Hunter's attorney, well, of course that's what you put in an agreement. I mean, who wouldn't do that? And you
Oh,
should be
yeah, for
disbarred
sure.
if you don't try to put that language in. But anyway, I didn't come up here to add much more than I feel ambivalent on both
Oh, it was the
both
judge
sides. I
that
think,
said it. Okay, well there you go. That's yeah. There,
yeah,
thank you.
I do recall that the judge came in and said, I can't accept that. And that's always, the judges always have the final rule. Just because everybody else works it out doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be accepted. Although plea agreements, I think, are accepted well over 95% of the time.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
something like
federal
that.
cases for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just plea agreements.
I'm not sure. And I can't give an astute opinion on this because I haven't dove into all of the facts. I have the headlines and that's about it. But my gut reaction is, favorable treatment because of a Biden name and prosecution because of a Biden name. And it just seems odd to me that I have the same feeling on both sides, and I don't know what the answer is. Anyway,
No,
thanks,
I
guys.
think you're right too. I feel the exact same way. I think that's really honest. Yeah.
All right. Hey, have a good one, guys.
You too, brother. We'll see you. Thanks for coming. All right. Did we lose your spot? Sorry about that.
No, we're good. We're good. Okay, so late in the afternoon of October 12th, 2018, a salesman was standing in the window of StarQuest Shooters and Survival Supply in Wilmington, which sits near ice cream and bicycle stores and across from a ballpark. Hunter Biden walked in saying he was interested in purchasing a Colt Cobra revolver, according to court documents. The store owner knew the Biden family lived a few miles away. He also knew that Joe Biden, the sponsor of a federal assault weapons ban that passed in 1994, was not considered a gun rights supporter. The owner told federal prosecutors in a recent interview, a transcript of which was filed in court, that he wanted to complete the sale quickly, thinking it would be bad for business if Joe Biden's son was known to be a customer.
That was a bizarre part of this for me, that like a business owner would be like would think that would be bad for them. No, I think that would be great for you.
Like I
If
think,
you're like,
is he
even
saying,
Joe
like, if
Biden's,
Joe knows that I sold a weapon to his son,
I
like,
thought he
or
was saying because it's Joe Biden's son and Joe Biden's not a friend to the gun community that it would look bad. Maybe if that's what I was if that's what he was saying, then I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. I'd tell everybody, like, yeah, even Joe Biden's son comes to me to get him. That's how I would have spun that. But I just thought that was funny that was his thought.
I just think, like, when you read about, the more articles I read about this, like, everyone's just like, this is the smallest town. Like, everyone knows everyone. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all everyone keeps saying. Like,
Yeah.
everyone knows everyone's business. So I just think he thought in some way it could get him into a little trouble. Okay.
Let me read
But
a comment came through real quick. Let me grab it. Did you know that the crowbar was invented? Wait, what? Oh, did you know that before the crow? Sorry, I fucked it up. Felice? Did you know, David wonders, that before the crowbar was invented, crows mostly just drank at home?
because birds at a bar drinking.
I loved that one. It took me a while
That's
to read
funny.
it correctly. Well done.
You
Well
got
done,
it. That
David.
is a good one, though.
Yeah.
Crowbar. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me make sure. If Joe Biden's son was known to be a customer. Okay, but first, Hunter needed to fill out a federally required form. Oh yeah, I know why the gun owner was saying the shop owner was saying he needed to hurry because he did something he wasn't supposed to. But first, Hunter needed to fill out a federally required form. It asked for his height, weight, and birth date. He checked boxes declaring he was not a fugitive, had never been convicted of a felony, and had never been committed to a mental institution. Finally, there was a box that is the subject of the upcoming trial. Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to the devil's lettuce or any depressant, stimulant? So that would include, right, antidepressants, Adderall, like narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance. Hunter marked no. The store ran a criminal background check that came back negative. Hunter provided his passport, but it is unclear whether he also supplied documentation of his address as required by law. This is in parentheses. 3 years later, when the gun purchase became the focus of public scrutiny, store workers altered the original form, right? Like, that's a no-no. So they changed the form 3 years after to reflect that they had checked Hunter's car registration for the address, according to the store owner, a move that defense attorneys may highlight at trial. At 6:53 p.m., A receipt shows he bought the weapon and several other items, including ammunition and a speed loader, paying $886.81 in cash. In cash. He was liquid. He then went to a consignment store next door and bought more items. The weapon salesman, oh, this is funny, okay, or just weird. It tells a lot about Hunter's state of mind. According to an interview with federal agents, said an employee of the consignment store told him Hunter had purchased a rubber chicken. He is, quote, this is the quote from the transcript. Is not sure whether the employee was making a joke, an FBI interviewer wrote, or if Biden actually bought a rubber chicken. 11 days
We
later.
need to know. The people need to know.
I
Does
know.
Hunter Biden own a rubber chicken?
Well,
This
we
is
know
important
Trump
to
is
me.
scared of rubber chickens
Oh,
because
that
RFK passed out rubber chickens at the Libertarian Convention to squeak at Trump, and he had Secret Service confiscate them.
PTSD from rubber chickens.
No, he just can't handle
I
being
forgot about that.
heckled. He will
Well
do
done
anything
connecting
to not
those
be heckled.
together.
I'm just saying, it's weird that all these rubber chickens are coming into politics suddenly.
Yeah,
Is this
who
a
knew?
coincidence? I don't think so.
Or just more shenanigans from the big rubber chicken lobbyists. I think it's them. Big rubber chicken has been a scourge on society for decades now. It's time we remove them once and for all.
Guys, keep tapping the screen. We're almost to 200K. We could do it. Okay, so 11 days later, on the morning of October 23rd, Hallie Biden took her two children to school, dropping them off at 8 a.m. When she returned home, as Hunter slept inside, she searched his black pickup truck and found the one he borrowed money from. You know, the 2018 Ford Raptor that they tried to say
Yeah.
that there was a picture of him standing in front of. Oh, that was a great congressional hearing too. She searched his black pickup truck and found the handgun in the center console, according to police. What?
Just somebody said RTP's paid by Big Chicken, and it made me laugh. Sorry. I thought I was muted. I apologize.
When she returned home as Hunter slept inside, she searched his black pickup truck and found the weapon in the center console, according to police records. Around 11:20 a.m., she put it in a black shopping bag and drove her BMW to Jansen's Market, a local institution frequented by the Bidens that offered baked goods, fresh flowers, and high-end groceries. She threw the weapon into a trash can and entered the store. A review of video footage showed that she bought beef, bread rolls, and a bottled drink. Good to know. When she returned home,
The amount of detail that they have in this Washington Post article is phenomenal. This is what good reporting looks like. Even stuff that you don't think you're going to care about, like it just adds to the authenticity of the story.
when she returned home, she later said Hunter's car was gone, so she called him and told him she had found his weapon and thrown it into a trash can. He immediately became alarmed, angrily telling her to go retrieve it, text messages show. Just before noon, according to the video footage, Hallie arrived back. So she was there at 11:20, right? And then she arrived back there just before noon. According to the video footage, Hallie arrived back at Jansen's. She checked two trash cans, and when she could not find the weapon, she approached the store owner and relayed what had happened. The police were called, and by 12:56 p.m., opened a weapon theft case with Hunter listed as the victim and Hallie as the suspect, since she had taken the weapon from his car and thrown it out. The officer felt she was evasive when he asked whether it had been used in a crime and whether she also found illegal substances. Quote, I found her to not be very reliable and she was kind of all over the place, the officer wrote. Hallie called Hunter, who also came to the store to talk to the police, saying he'd kept the weapon in the truck to avoid bringing it in Hallie's house because of her children, court documents show. He wondered aloud, oh, this is gross. He wondered aloud whether store workers might have taken the weapon from the trash can, pointing to two Latino men in Jansen's Market t-shirts and saying, yeah, probably illegal. The police officer
Remember
asked
when we
whether
told you Hunter wasn't going to look like the good guy in this story? Just Yeah.
The police officer asked whether Hunter had told anyone about the incident, including his father. And his reply, Hunter, quote, "I have never called my dad for anything," end quote. He replied, according to the police report, "I have always handled my own affairs." The officer asked whether he was using illegal substances, floating that as a reason that Hallie was searching his truck. So they're trying to, the officer's kind of trying to figure out, why was she going through your truck? And then Hunter's response was, "Listen, it isn't like that," Hunter responded, according to the police report. "I think she believes I was gonna off myself." He told the officer that he was living in a nightmare, that he had fallen in love with his brother's widow, and that he was depressed but in love. Lashing out in anger. Hours later, Hunter turned on Hallie again for tossing the weapon in a public place, especially one across from a public high school, text messages show. Cursing the FBI, he wrote that the weapon had been in a locked car, adding, quote, "What more can I do than come back to you to try again? And you do this? Who in their right mind would trust you would get help? Well, wait. Who in their right mind would trust you would help me get sober?" So he's basically blaming her for all his problems. And then he said, "Do you want me unalive?" he added. And then she said, quote, "I'm sorry, I just want you safe. That was not safe," Hallie wrote back. "And it was open, unlocked, and windows down, and the kids search your car." The police still had not found the weapon, but investigators were chasing leads on an elderly man who often went through garbage bins in the area to collect recyclables.
This story's everything Hunter Biden does. The stories are incredible. Like the laptop story's crazy. This is crazy. It's pretty wild.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, that was my bad.
The police still had not found the gun. The investigators were chasing leads on an elderly man who often went through garbage bins in the area to collect recyclables. No one knew how to find him until one day, employees of a local bank called the police and said he was there. Wilmington Police Lieutenant Millard Greer arrived and watched the man for nearly an hour as he rummaged through trash receptacles, he wrote in his report. Eventually, Greer approached and struck up a conversation, telling the man that he was aware someone had recently placed something in a trash can that should not have been there. "Yes, he did," the man said quickly. Greer asked him what it was. "A .38 special," the man responded. The man had the weapon back at his house, so he and Greer went to retrieve it. A leather pouch held the revolver and an ammunition box, as well as a box containing lip balm and a speed loader. Greer called and texted Hunter to let him know. This is quote, "Mr. Biden was firm in his desire that there not be any prosecution for this case," the officer wrote, meaning Hunter did not want Hallie charged for throwing out his weapon. He stated, "The whole thing is just stupid." The next day, October 30th, top officials in the Attorney General's office decided that without Hunter Biden's cooperation, the stolen weapon case should be closed. And now, 6 years later, as federal officials pursue an unrelated tax probe, they have charged the president's son with lying about his illicit substance use when he bought the weapon.
Nice edit. Well done.
A week ago, President Biden visited Hallie Biden's house for about 15 minutes, a trip that White House officials said, just to debunk your conspiracy theories, said was not connected to Hunter's upcoming trial, but to the 9th anniversary of Beau's death, which we now know is May 30th. On Thursday, the Bidens went to church and visited Beau's grave, with Hunter walking out just before his father. Hallie was not with them.
So there you go. Like I didn't know that story. That's great reporting there. A couple of you, Big Boat, you can settle down. Like, we're just giving you facts. This is what it was making me laugh. Like, we're just reading you guys a story. You get that right. We're just telling you what happened. I don't know how you find ways to get upset about these things, but now you know the whole story of where this gun charge came from. Well done, Felice. Do you have anything to add, or to? summarize there. I do have some comments I can read.
No, yeah, I'm good. I think we all get it now, but I think it's important to hear the chronological timeline, right? And all the text messages. I like that. I like first person. Nothing like a paper trail to tell a story.
Kim sends a message. This is just the daily payment from Big Chicken and Bears, a subsidiary of the DNC wing of Soros Entertainment. So thank you, Papa Soros, for that donation. And then Lynn asks, comment on Biden immigration order signed today. I saw a few people being a little impatient on that. Yes, Joe Biden is signing an executive order saying that if the daily entries get over 2,500, then they will shut down the border until that number falls to 1,500. This is the exact same type of thing that got shot down before. The ACLU is already saying that they're going to challenge this in the courts. So Biden has signed an executive order that is, what was the number? 500 in
I
the
don't know if
bill?
he's done it yet. He hasn't done it yet. Like he's doing it today. But yeah,
This was from NBC like 20 minutes ago,
okay,
so I
so
think
he did
so.
it. There you go.
Yeah. It was 500. Was it 500 or 5,000? What was the number in
I don't
the
have the article open.
no, in the other bill? It was was it 5,000? Yeah, 5,000.
It's
That's
a
what it was.
rolling average, right?
So this,
It's over a week rolling average, right?
yeah, so this is the same
Before they
thing.
would open the border again.
This is the same thing, but it's 2,500, and then it opens back up when the number falls to 1,500. So, yeah, they're trying to get this thing done. Republicans are no help at all. This is going to be
And it's
challenged.
encounters, right? It's not.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
encounters. So just to be clear, like one person is more than one encounter. These aren't individuals. Like
Correct.
that's important to note. Yeah, and it's been over. I believe encounters has been over like 4,000 like every day for a long time. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
nowhere close to what the goal is. But just as many, just to talk about, the far, or not the far, the left flank, like many people are upset at Joe Biden, like this, for doing this, for not providing a pathway to citizenship. But also, just to note, like, this is why, like, we need not only funding, and you can tell me because I haven't read the executive order. Does it include funding or no?
I didn't see anything about funding. I don't know how it would. I don't know how they would fund it unless they were pulling it from some
Well,
other budget. But
yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean,
Yeah,
they could. That's why I'm asking.
it
That's what
doesn't
they
say
were saying this
anything.
morning. No one knew if this morning when I was reading articles about it, that was the question. Like, no one knew if it included funding or not. Because the issue is, remember, is we need funding and then we need Congress, right? The House specifically to change statutes. Because the problem
Right.
is this whole thing, what Joe Biden is essentially doing, this executive order, this is something very similar to what Donald Trump tried to do also. And it got struck down. Eventually, it moved through federal courts, was brought to the right judge, and was struck down. So that's essentially, it'll be interesting to see. One of the things I was thinking about this when I was reading about it this morning, I think it will actually be interesting to see because now officially Republicans aren't going to do anything about the border
Right.
and the Democrats have essentially. So it would be interesting to see if the Republicans, like the Heritage Foundation, for instance, bring a lawsuit to try to stop Joe Biden from doing this. Like, will they
Yeah.
undermine closing the border in order to make Trump look good? I don't know. We'll have to watch out. But some people are definitely human rights groups, like, right, and possibly Republican think tanks could file lawsuits to
Yeah.
stop this because there's already precedent in the courts.
And
Like
like I said,
that's what the issue was we need to actually change statutes to give the executive branch more power than it
right.
has.
Well, and the other thing is, so because shutting down the border limits people's ability to seek asylum, that's why Trump's order was struck down. I can't imagine the court ruling in favor of Biden here. I don't. I may not know enough about this, but I don't really see the difference here. Like if you can't if the executive branch can't unilaterally take action that limits people's ability to claim asylum, I don't know what's different on this order than Trump's order. If somebody has an answer for that, please let me know. This is just breaking now, but on its face, I kind of expect it to be shot down again. but it'll be operative
Not for
until
a while, yeah. Not for.
yeah.
I mean, it's got to move through the courts. That will take a long time. Like it will happen for a while until it gets adjudicated. Essentially, though, what we need is more funding, right? We have to speed up the process, move asylum seekers through the process so they're not hanging out waiting for court dates for years. Like that's what the issue is. We need more funding, and if we want the president to be able to do this and not be struck down in federal courts, because the bottom line is about immigration law is people who are in distress are allowed to come here, and once they are physically on US soil saying I'm in distress and I want to seek asylum, like pretty much that has been the letter of the law unless we change it.
RJ, thank you for the raid. Look, I see all the comments. I know Biden's speaking right now. I'm not particularly interested in hearing him speak about this, honestly. Like, I'm not really that interested on this until we know what the courts are going to say. To me, this is. I mean, he's doing what he can. He's doing what he's going to try some things. But again, for the Republicans here, like, don't pretend that you care about this. You don't get to be part of this today. You guys need to be quiet today. You're upset when he doesn't close the border. Now you're upset when he is closed the border, or when he does close the border. You were mad we didn't have a bill, and then we had a bill and you voted against it. You guys don't get any opinions on this. You guys just wait around, sit there and wait for Donald Trump to tell you what you need to think about this. But even then, we don't care. Like, you guys aren't serious about the border. You're not. You're not doing anything about it. We don't need to hear from you today.
Yeah, I mean, essentially you lost on this issue. Like now there's an executive order. This could have been a bipartisan solution. Now it's something the Democrats addressed. But for me, like someone who's far left, I don't even think this is a good idea. Not because necessarily not debating like not necessarily debating what's going on, but it does not address the real issues, which is the funding, the wait times. That's why people are sitting here. If you specifically when we're talking about asylum seekers, until we speed up the court dates, there's nothing else that matters.
Josh, stop saying the same thing over. Biden has the power to sign an executive order.
You can say anything in an executive order you want and sign it, Josh.
Right. Nobody's arguing that Biden didn't have the ability to sign an executive order. What we said from the start is that these types of executive orders are already shut down. The courts overrule it. And that's what we've been saying. That's why Biden tried to do it through Congress.
The federal courts strike them down.
That's what we said. The problem is, like, you don't understand.
Biden's been struck down by federal courts many times trying to block asylum seekers. Whenever you guys want to accept that Biden is a neocon, Biden is a Republican. Biden has deported way more people than Donald Trump. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. This man is all about immigration law and doing something, and he's been struck down. Like, stopping in another country, saying you need to, if you're claiming asylum and you're crossing through countries, you got to stop somewhere else and claim it. We tried that, struck down. Yeah. Like that, it goes to the federal courts and it's struck down. That's why Congress, the group that can change the laws, need to change the laws. This is not my opinion, because I understand how the US economy works. Right? Yeah. Like when you look at how many jobs are open in this country, like we need more people, right? Immigration, when you think about it, it's literally an arms race around the world. If we don't get capable immigrants to fill the jobs in our economy, we will not hold the same power in the world. Those same people will go to China, they will go to Russia, they will go to other countries and contribute to that economy. Like, you have to fully understand the issue of immigration and how it affects the economy. America built its power through immigration. Our birth rate is like declining. So you tell me how we supplement our workforce if not through immigration.
It's amazing to me, Josh, how you could sit here for hour upon hour and still like get everything wrong. One more time, Josh.
Come up here, Josh.
Nobody ever said Biden couldn't issue an executive order. We said they're shut down by the courts. And then what happens if this gets shut down by the courts? Donald Trump's plan is using executive action to close the border. He already lost on it once. I think Biden's going to lose here. Like, you guys again, you don't care about any of this. You're
He's
all
not.
full of
No, he
shit.
just cares. Look what he's writing. We don't want
Yeah, we
them.
don't need
Like,
them. You're just
it's not.
racist.
It's
Yeah.
not about what happens in the courts for Josh. It's just a base, like hate and fear. Actually, I actually think Josh is more afraid than anything.
That makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't like when look, and I would be afraid if I was as bad at my understanding like my job as Josh is at his. I would also be afraid of someone coming in and taking my job if I was as poorly educated on my roles as Josh is on his. So I think that's fair. All right, do we want to go to another story? Where are we at? Time
Guys,
wise.
keep tapping the screen. Tap, tap, tap. If you would like to donate, you can leave us a message and we will read it out loud. Share the live. I would like. Oh, there's Dale. I didn't
Hi,
see you,
Dale.
Dale. Dale, do you want to talk about this? Anything
Here you
on your
can.
mind? I can
There's Josh
explain
for
to
you.
you your Oh no.
Wait, but real quick, this might
Hey,
help.
it's me.
Hold on. Hey, be quiet. Hold on.
if
Hey, be
somebody's gonna take my
quiet.
job, who's
Shut
gonna deport
up.
everybody?
Be quiet already.
If someone
God
did you
damn.
say if someone takes my job, who's gonna
God.
deport everybody?
Jeez. Felice, how does a penguin build its house?
I don't know.
It glues it together.
I knew it was gonna be
Igloos.
something about igloo.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, Josh.
Hilarious.
Now you can speak.
I have to get some water and go to the restroom.
Go for it.
Oh, I'm just curious why all this executive order is happening after I've heard multiple times, I can't do that. He doesn't have the authority to do that. Give me a break. You guys are so full of shit.
Josh, I just explained this to you 5 times. Nobody said the president can't sign an executive
You said it
order.
100
Shut
times.
up! What we said is the courts have already struck this down. That's what we're saying today, too. Now listen, Josh. Are you looking at me in the eyes?
Sure am.
We know presidents can sign executive orders, but if similar executive orders have been shut down by the courts, that is the court saying you don't have the authority to do this. Not you don't have the authority to sign an executive order. It's you don't have the authority to sign an executive order about this. Now, before you go, I need you to acknowledge that that's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah, Josh,
No.
let me tell you. Yeah, because
I've heard you say
you're
the dumbest shit up here about.
you're a coward.
No,
You're a coward.
you want to give
are
everything away to everyone, and it's not going to
a
happen.
coward, and
People are
nobody
actually
cares what
receiving
you have
money.
to say.
Migrants
You
are
don't
receiving money.
understand your own
People in
job,
Chicago don't
and
like that.
you're not good at your job.
Well,
Josh,
you
look,
can't get migrants to deport migrants, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
So I guess
I don't want people deported.
I have job security,
No, you don't, Josh. No, you don't.
bro.
If they
I'm just
ever
curious.
if they
I thought
ever
this
raise
wasn't a
this if they
crisis.
ever raise
Yo,
the
I thought
standards,
this wasn't a crisis. I thought it
I've
wasn't a crisis. Remember?
well, that's because I guess you're just dumb.
I'm dumb.
I
Or
guess
you're
like
dumb
yeah,
for
because
not saying
like
it was a crisis for 3 years,
we've called it a crisis for since it became a crisis. I think like
which
honest
was
to
the
God,
last 3 years.
honest to God, I think your brain might be
Literally the
full
last 3
and you
years,
can't.
bro.
Josh, you got to shut up when I'm talking. Like this is why nobody ever has you on panels anymore. You're obnoxious. I've said it since it became a crisis that it was indeed a crisis. The difference is what we see as a crisis is that we don't have the resources to take care of these asylum claims. What you see as a crisis is, oh no, brown people and I'm a racist. That's the crisis. So no, I don't see it the same way
There's
you do.
probably more white Europeans that came here from France and
Yeah,
Italy
and you
that
don't
are sitting
and you
in
don't
New
care
York
about
City
them.
because they
And you don't
stayed
care
here
about
on
them.
their goddamn visas.
And you don't
bro.
care about
And I
them
do
because
care
all
about
you
that,
ever
too.
talk about is the
Dude,
border.
you guys are so full of shit.
When
I
it-
care
you've
just
never-
as much
you've
about
Josh,
that
never
as
you
once
I
have
do
brought
other
never
that
talked
people.
about them. That's true. This is the first time
Oh,
hearing
I
about
have
your anger
actually.
towards
I
those
lived in.
people.
I told
Josh,
you I lived in New
stop.
York City. I told you people come there and just stay there. I told you all that shit.
Brother, we have said all of that before. This is the thing. I think your brain
That's
is
my
full.
argument.
You need to empty out some
People
space.
overstay visas. I know that.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, we say that all the time, Josh.
Yeah, they gotta go too, bro. What, you think they get a pass?
Yeah, well, I would rather people just have a pathway to citizenship. That's my preference.
Well, I'd rather not wait in line ever fucking
You're not
everywhere
you're
again.
not in
Sorry.
line, dummy. You're not in line. You're already a citizen.
I'm not talking. I'm talking about the goddamn grocery store, bro. I ain't talking about that. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, there's too many people here at your line at the
You
grocery
goddamn
store.
right. There's
Oh,
Josh
Joshy's
doesn't want
guys-
people to do
Joshy's
capitalism.
waiting.
Josh, you don't understand how the U.S.
Joshy's
economy
waiting in
works.
lines
Is
at
why
the
you have
There's
this
grocery
50
store.
million
position.
illegals here, bro. Since 1990.
So who is going to do the jobs? Oh yes, the Republicans are rolling back child labor
I'm not
laws
saying don't let them
and
back in.
making
They need to
people
come in
work
legally, and
longer
then you
before they
should.
can retire. That's why the children are going back
You
to
tax them?
factories because of Josh.
Can I speak?
You can speak when it's your goddamn turn. If you interrupt somebody one more time, you're banned forever from this live. Do you understand? Don't interrupt
you're not gonna
police
do that.
one more. All right, see ya. Jen, will you ban Josh forever from our live? Thank you. Bye, Josh.
What happened when I was gone then?
Josh is just what a remarkable thing to say. I don't want to wait in line at the grocery store. Like, just say you're racist, dude. That's more. Nobody believes that you care about the grocery store line. Stop it.
But also, it's not the point. It just shows you don't understand how the economy functions, Josh. If you care about the strength of the U.S. and American exceptionalism as being number one and all these other nationalistic ideas you're always expressing, then you want capitalism to work. You would want the lines at the store to be long. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're looking at biting off your nose to spite your face. That's what Josh's immigration plans are, the deportation plans are. Because we are afraid of brown people, we're going to cripple our own, not someone else's, our own economy.
I just want to point out we have now deported Josh. And Josh, we would expect you to stick by your principles. And if you'd like to reapply for citizenship in this live, we need you to fill out a form and wait your goddamn turn. And we'll get to you when we get to you, okay? But right now we've got a crisis on our hands. So it's going to be a while. But you're somebody who likes law and order, so wait your turn.
Someone said he's not a border agent. Are you sure? He's really very invested in that narrative.
Yeah, I've never doubted
Guarding
that.
the northern border, though, not the southern, just to be clear.
Yeah, I've never doubted he was a
Michigan.
border agent, but like we've also talked to other people on this app that have been border agents. I know border agents. None of them are that misinformed. Not one of the people I know that works in Border Patrol is that poorly informed. But I do know that
No,
like
there are definite people in Border Patrol who are poorly.
I know. I'm just saying the ones I know aren't that. So that's what I was saying. Like that's not actually proof that he's not Border Patrol. It's just the ones that I know. But it's tough. I think his brain is full. I think we got to move some stuff around.
Well, I guess back to me reading, since every time we have someone up, you kick them off.
Oh, apparently Bobby exposed him as not being a border agent.
What?
That's what I'm hearing. That's in the comments and also from Jen. That's the word on the street.
When was this?
I don't know. If somebody knows this story, hop in the box. Tell us. I'd be interested in hearing this actually.
How did we miss this?
Oh, there's Josh. Jen, you find him now? There he is. Now we remove him forever. And Josh is blocked. Sorry, Josh.
He's contracted out? Oh, well then that can't, yeah, they contract people. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What did they do? What did they
That's
contract him out for? What did they do? Like, what can a contractor do?
It's third party companies that essentially get contracts to act as border patrol. I mean, I guess to Bobby there's a big difference, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe as opposed to like being paid by the government versus contracted, I guess. That there's kind of that in the tech industry, like, do you work for Google or are you a contract employee? Like, to me, it's all the same.
It's like the rite of
thing,
passage.
Like, I guess if you want to be like an elitist, a purist, and like say there's a difference, okay then.
Gotcha.
Oh, someone said processing is third party. Yeah, exactly. It's like TSA. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, or private companies that do things of that nature. It's like contracting a security company.
That's interesting.
To do like security processing, yeah.
That does make me feel a little better. knowing that Josh isn't. And it also explains all these goddamn
What do
geese.
you mean? He still works at the border. Like,
I I know, but he's
what
like
do you
a
guys mean? He's not. If he works, whether he's paid third party or like
just
by
let me
the government.
just let me have this. It just makes me feel a little better. That's the whole explanation for it.
Okay, but
I
either way, not to defend Josh because he's always rude to me, but like either way, he's still processing immigrants getting more mad every day.
yeah.
Every time Josh has to process someone, he
It
just
just makes
gets like angrier.
it just makes me think like somebody at Border Patrol was like, mm-mm. And then he had to go work for a contract. That's the story in my head that I'm telling myself. I think that's why it makes me feel better.
Oh,
The
like
Border
you're
Patrol said
saying
no.
like he probably applied
Yeah.
first
He had to
at board.
back.
Okay, I see.
He's
Okay.
backdooring in as a paper pusher.
I see
Yeah,
what you're saying. And
yeah.
then like if you're like the B, you're kind of calling him like the B team.
That might be a little high. We had a C team at my school. He's
Well, it's that time, you guys. You're going to be very upset about it, but 2000 Mules has been taken out of distribution. So, and
and
now we're going to debunk some of the lies.
because it was too accurate, and George Soros and the communist, Marxist, socialist left took it down. Is that
Well, it
right?
turned out it was all made up, and when they actually started lawsuits and things, yeah, this isn't when they all started suing each other, left and right, and they're like, oh no, he has the sources that said this was true, and no, he has the sources, and you know what I mean? Like, and it turns out no, but there was no source or evidence.
And well, yeah. Let me pull that up real quick.
It's
I
called,
have to
this is
type
a
it in.
Washington Post article. It's called 2 Years Later, Obvious Misinformation is Finally Taken Down. 2000 Mules is a case study in how appealing, lucrative falsehoods endure.
Yeah, and we're gonna. Do you want me? You've been speaking. Do you want me to read, or you want to? You're better at it, but
I
if you need a
can.
break, I'll
It's
read.
fine. I
Okay,
can.
go for it.
But I would like to talk to someone, like, if somebody wants to discuss any of these issues. Actually, I'm sure there will be people who want to talk about this. Okay. So, and if you guys don't know who Dinesh D'Souza is, he's like a MAGA guy. He's the one that like that
Can,
is responsible for this.
he's a felon. He's a felon for because of his crimes were something related to campaign finance violations, and he was pardoned by Trump. Shocker that Trump, somebody who really likes election security, went ahead and pardoned a guy for campaign finance violations. But yeah, that's Dinesh D'Souza.
Okay. I was sitting at dinner with my editor in early 2022 when filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza challenged me to a debate. And if you don't know, Philip Bump is writing this. Who's one of my favorite Washington Post writers. He does like the fact checked analyses and things like that. Yeah, this is a very smart person. I had written an article assessing claims from the right wing group True the Vote. If you don't know, like this movie, which I'm not going to say 2000 Mules so much because I don't know if how the live will take, but this movie
Good
we're
point.
now all referring to.
Would it help if we called it 2000 Jackasses? Do you think that would?
2000 Asses.
Yeah, there we go.
That sounds better.
It's catchier.
Okay, I had written an article assessing claims from the right-wing group True the Vote. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. If you don't know, like, True the Vote is like Dinesh D'Souza was like allegedly like his movie, what was it, 2000 Asses, was was allegedly doing like an expose, right? Like about True the Vote, this right-wing group, and like what they had allegedly discovered. Okay. I had written an article assessing claims from the right-wing group True the Vote, alleging that millions of ballots had been collected during the 2020 presidential election and dropped into ballot boxes. An effort to influence the election results that, in the words of the group's Greg Phillips, constituted, quote, an organized crime that was perpetuated on Americans. The analysis from True the Vote was at the center of a movie that D'Souza was preparing to release, hence his challenge to me. So D'Souza challenged a Washington Post reporter essentially to a debate. I quickly accepted, and D'Souza provided me a copy to preview. My initial assessment of True the Vote's claims, which ran under the prescient headline, ballot trafficking is the next front in the ballot trafficking is the next front in the unending fight over 2020, noted that the group's methodology couldn't accomplish what it claimed to have accomplished. Oh, what do you know? The group, allegedly acting on a tip about a ballot collection effort, used cell phone geolocation data to identify thousands of people dubbed mules who had visited several ballot drop boxes in the weeks before the election. But there were countless obvious problems with that assessment. Yeah,
Like from
the incorrect
everybody
data.
who, yeah, the crazy thing about this is this isn't like an expose exposing 2000 Mules. Like 2000 Mules came out, and 4 hours later, everybody had debunked it. If you are a person who believed 2000 Mules, you are lazy. That's it. Like within hours, the whole thing was debunked.
Oh yeah. Yo, for sure. I mean, everyone here can remember that, right? Yeah. But there were countless obvious problems with that assessment, including that the geolocation data wasn't sufficiently refined to allow that sort of determination, and that the examples offered by True the Vote at a hearing in Wisconsin showed people moving all over certain cities, including on streets near places that had ballot boxes.
So
It was
just to
it
be
was just
like,
random people's cell phone data.
yeah, so they would show in 2000 ballots, they would show like somebody's route, right? And like, this is the person's route. There's all these drop boxes along the way. Well, there's people who drive Lyft, there's people who drive for work, there's people who run errands who go past those drop boxes all the time. And just so you know, that's the data. That's the whole story. There were people who
Literally.
drove near drop boxes multiple times in a day,
Can't
and
make
that
it
was
up.
the whole fucking story, is that these people were vote mules. And
People
again,
came near the drop boxes for various reasons. Like there were
yeah,
businesses like, and they're just like people are near the drop boxes. It turned out to be the whole thing. But
how many
anyway,
times did we have somebody come up here and be like, have you seen 2000 mules? Like, it
how
was like every
embarrassing for
day.
you.
Yeah.
So, D'Souza's movie, 2000 Ballads, as we're going to call it, did not make a better case. After viewing it, I walked through the gaps in its arguments. And there's links to this stuff in the story if you want to kind of do a deeper analysis, like, and talk about the debate, including that there was no evidence of any scheme outside the alleged analysis from True the Vote. Remarkable operational security from an alleged multi-state illegal conspiracy involving thousands of people. What When D'Souza and I finally discussed the movie, he was unable to make a more compelling case or address the obvious gaps in his argument. For the most part, he defaulted to True the Vote's analysis and claims. Fraught, given that Phillips had a record of making unsubstantiated claims about fraud. That's the guy, one of the True the Vote people. From the outset, in other words, the claims in 2000 ballots and the assessments of True the Vote were not credible. That lack of credibility only increased over time. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, for example, indicated that it would not launch a probe into the alleged activity, asking True the Vote to reveal its whistleblower. This is hilarious because they said, right, True the Vote's story was like, oh no, we have a whistleblower that's like part of this, that
Yeah.
told us
So
the whole thing. Not they couldn't have possibly made it up, right? Like the whistleblower would have to exist.
right. And where this, just so you know, where this came from, there was like a Schmurder investigation, and they were able to use like geo tracking to identify like the cell phones that were in the vicinity. And within 2 weeks, they had found the suspect and they caught them. So Dinesh D'Souza saw that and he was like, oh, well then, yeah, this is, we can use geo tracking to catch these criminals. The problem that Dinesh D'Souza had is he was tracking ghosts. nobody had committed that crime. So all he was getting is just geo-tracking
Oh, they
data.
give examples
Yeah.
in here. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Okay.
give. Yeah, they actually, because lawsuits sparked up, right? Like they were accusing people of being involved in a criminal conspiracy. That's not a good thing to do when no one's done anything wrong. So
Yeah.
the
Boop my snoot if
and
you've heard.
people, why, were like, hey, I'm going to now sue you because you're lying,
Yeah.
and I can prove you're lying. So the
Boop
Georgia
the snoot
Bureau
if
of
you've heard Republicans say that before. Just go ahead and boop it.
Yeah, keep tapping the screen, guys. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, for example, indicated that it would not launch a probe into the alleged activity, asking True the Vote to reveal its whistleblower. The group ultimately said it had no names of whistleblowers to offer. Well, what do you know? They did it when it came down to it,
Hmm.
and actual police got involved. It was all a lie.
And again, tell me if you've heard that story before. James O'Keefe,
2 weeks.
Project Veritas. Like, yeah, 2 weeks. How many times have you heard Republicans claim they had a whistleblower? And name one whistleblower that came through.
Oh,
Just
you
one.
should see. We can't really play all the COVID lies in that hearing, but it was hilarious. Like Debbie Lesko, who's from Arizona, so
She's
embarrassing.
terrific.
She basically made up all these lies during the hearing, and I don't know what she was doing, like trying to get Dr. Fauci, like an actual genius, to like admit to something he didn't do. But she's like, well, we have the emails, and just kept saying that. And finally, someone like lost it, like Mfume, and was just like, there are no emails. Like, she is lying. It was hilarious.
Well, the other thing is just remember that like this story would be silly if it was like but the story is not that a documentary went out from a right winger and it was stupid. That's not the story. The story is a documentary went out from a right winger and it was stupid, and it was so stupid that at the time everybody's like, this is stupid, and then MAG is like, this is our proof that the election was stolen. Then they relied on this stupidity to further their narrative. And this, as Felice is saying, like once they get in front of court, they're like, yeah, we don't really have evidence. Which we've been asking you guys for evidence all along, and you keep pointing to 2,000 mules. Well, have you seen 2,000 mules? We have, and now
Just say
their own.
ballots.
What's that?
Just say 2,000 ballots, just in
Oh yeah,
case,
that's
'cause I
right.
don't
Sorry,
want the
2,000
live to get
ballots.
taken down. Okay. The group ultimately said it had no names of whistleblowers to offer. The group, True the Vote, promised to release all its information for public scrutiny before announcing that it wouldn't. Oh, they did the 2 weeks thing, and then when
Yeah,
the 2 weeks went by, they had no information. Oh, it's so weird how that always
crazy.
happens with MAGA. There was There was one map of the visits to drop boxes made by an alleged mule shown in the movie, but Phillips told the Washington Post that it was fake. So when they pressed him on it, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's not real."
Plus, mules can't even vote. Stupid.
What the movie did have, though, was an argument that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from Donald Trump. An argument that was cleverly cloaked in the aesthetic of a serious investigation and a complicated data driven examination. D'Souza explicitly argued that there was enough ballot movement. I can't even say it though. Ballot movement to affect the election outcomes, relying, as he told me during our conversation, on True the Vote's ability to enhance video. This is not even a joke. This is how dumb these people are. To enhance video from a handful of ballot drop boxes, which was then extrapolated to each and every alleged mule. So they're just like, oh, we have these thousands of cell phone signals. Well, we don't have we are just going to zoom in on like a few instances of ballot boxes and then just make up a number based on how many cell phone signals we have. I can't
Yeah.
say it.
Well, and the other
I
thing
mean,
is
that's
like,
serious too. That's serious.
so the
They
videos
made
that
it all up.
yeah, the videos that they had, if you guys haven't seen it, are people putting multiple things in a mailbox. That's it, right? Or a drop. That's
Yeah,
it.
and we'll get
In
it. One of them is interviewed in this
Yeah, in
article.
some places ballot harvesting is legal and that's fine. In other instances when they were showing like a post office box, that could be anything. I know lots of people, and my ex sends out packages all the time, and she'll take a giant box, and she'll when we were together, I would have to go to Walgreens and one by one put those damn things in there. That's what the video was. So they take this video of people putting something in either drop boxes or mailboxes, or I mean, what do you call those big blue mail drop-off boxes? And then they tied it to this data that doesn't specify that it's any of these people, doesn't specify what these people are doing, and made the whole movie out of that.
So the movie got a screening at Mar-a-Lago and enormous attention from Trump and his allies. There were so many things that happened in 2020, Trump claimed earlier this year at a rally in New Hampshire. You take a look at True the Vote. Yeah, he did say this there, where they have tens of thousands of people stuffing the ballot boxes. Even D'Souza never claimed a number that high. But accuracy has never been Trump's watchword. He continued to hype these allegations after they were debunked is evidence to that end. The film was produced in part by Salem Media Group, a right-wing outlet that hosts many prominent voices on its radio network. In our conversation, D'Souza said that an approving panel of commentators shown in the film that included some of them, like Charlie Kirk, Dennis Prager, and Sebastian Gorka, was a request from Salem. Salem also distributed the film and published a companion book that made the same claims.
Can I just actually finish that part and then I'll go.
Well, okay. That book was an early point of embarrassment for Salem and D'Souza. After being sent to some stores, it was pulled to be rewritten, apparently because the initial version of the book identified specific nonprofit groups that D'Souza, who was lying, right, he alleged had participated in the non-existent ballot stuffing effort. So he was actually accusing nonprofits that had nothing to do with it. He named like real ones and put that in a book in writing. So obviously that's a huge problem in this country. This triggered understandable concerns about lawsuits. True the Vote claimed at the time that they hadn't identified those organizations to D'Souza. So True the Vote's like, he made those up. Like, he's calling out, like, he actually pinned crimes on like left-wing nonprofits.
Yeah. I just want to point out, like, these are players. Like, these are players in the MAGA, what do we want to call the MAGA group? Whatever they are, the MAGA group. Donald Trump requires no evidence in order to do a screening at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump requires no evidence to go and claim that Dinesh D'Souza is telling the truth. He just ran with it. And it goes to show that if you tell Trump something that he likes, he just accepts it as truth and he goes with it. And if you tell him something he doesn't like, he rejects it as false and won't discuss it. And then you have Dinesh D'Souza and True the Vote, like, lying to each other, not fact-checking each other at all, and like just putting this together. They're almost like one-upsmanship from each other.
And they didn't even get the lies straight, right? Like, one group is lying about a certain set of things. Another group
they're
is
like
lying
lazy
about
liars.
another set of things. And they're not smart enough to like get on the same page about the lies. So, okay, sorry. It was a lawsuit from another source. So eventually they got sued, that led to Salem pulling the movie from its streaming platform late last week. So now this is an example of someone they tried to pin a crime on, right? Like one of the cell phone data people that they zoomed in on, dropping stuff off. A Georgia man named Mark Andrews had done members of his family a favor before Election Day in 2020 by collecting their ballots and dropping them in a ballot box. This was legal, though. So these people aren't even smart enough, right, to get cell phone data in a place where that's illegal. It's completely legal in Georgia.
Right. So you're not showing a crime. Even if that person is ballot harvesting and dropping off all those ballots, okay. Terrific. They're just doing what's legal.
What's completely legal in Georgia. So at least check the laws. Like, this is how misguided these people are. So, okay. A Georgia man named Mark Andrews had done members of his family a favor before Election Day in 2020 by collecting their ballots and dropping them in a ballot box. This was legal under Georgia law. And the authorities in the state, remember the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, like, who are your whistleblowers? What's going on? So the authorities in the state cleared Andrews of any wrongdoing in May 2022, a few days before, right? They framed this man a few days before 2000 Mules was released. Like, they framed this man and ruined his life. But
Just
the
another
film, so again,
innocent bystander.
he was cleared prior to the film's release. They knew this, that this wasn't illegal in Georgia, and this man in actuality, when it, like, had done nothing wrong, and they still released the film and smeared him.
Yeah,
So, but
just
the film still features Andrews putting his family's ballots in a Dropbox, with D'Souza describing it as a crime in a voiceover. Andrews is also shown in the book with a caption calling it organized crime.
it's just so
Only
baffling to
libel and
yeah.
slander.
It's baffling to see this, like, for the MAGA folks, like, they can watch all of these people's lives be upturned, maybe not ruined, but a significant stress added to their lives, and with no proof at all. They're, in fact, they're cleared of the charges, and MAGA will say, yeah, those people are lying, they're guilty, we don't care about their lives. But the people on the MAGA side, who there's evidence against, who they go to court, who they're found, like, they don't get cleared, they get found of crimes, you all think they're innocent. This is the problem that we keep talking about, is that we don't live in similar realities. You guys think everybody who's proven guilty by a court is innocent, and everybody who's proven innocent by the court is guilty. And that's weird, right? That's a weird thing to do. It's a very culty thing to do. But this is where we have a problem. None of you care about these innocent people. Just like, this guy's just delivering ballots, being a good family member, trying to save everybody a trip, and his life gets destroyed. And you guys don't care. You still think he's guilty, right? This is the problem with MAGA, is that there is no room for reality, and there is way too much destruction of other people's lives.
So, and Mark Andrews, right, sued D'Souza, True the Vote, and Salem Media Group, among others. Late Friday afternoon, Salem Media Group released a statement, quote, "We apologize for the hurt, the inclusion of Mr. Andrews' image in the movie, book, and promotional materials have caused Mr. Andrews and his family," it read in part. Quote, "We have removed the film from Salem's platforms, and there will be no future distribution of the film or the book by Salem."
You're going to have to get it the old-fashioned way. You're going to have to download it illegally.
Oh, that's too bad. You guys must be
Yeah.
so sad that you guys won't be able to watch your pack of lies every
So,
night before you go to sleep.
yeah, so again, going backwards, Donald Trump, essentially, this and a couple other arguments that were brought to him by Dinesh D'Souza and True the Vote, those were largely the people driving the election conspiracy shit. And they're now telling us in court, we have no evidence of what we claimed. We don't have the whistleblowers that we said we have. And oh, by the way, we can't sell this movie or book anymore because we lied about innocent people. And so to protect our company, we can't sell this anymore. And this is the reason that MAGA thinks the election was stolen.
They get got. Like, how many times can you guys be duped? Like,
These,
it's actually mind-boggling.
and think of it, it goes even further. Like, how many people in Congress repeated this shit? I know Andy Biggs does it every time he holds a town hall.
People are bringing it up in congressional hearings.
Didn't Dinesh D'Souza get like a Medal of Honor or something? What do you get?
I don't know.
I think Trump gave him something. Maybe not.
Like a fake reward. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, anyways, so representatives for D'Souza and Mark Andrews' legal team did not immediately respond to requests for comment. It goes on. Salem put the blame.
Wait,
what?
Hold on. Sorry. I wanted to see if Trump gave him an award. So I Googled Dinesh D'Souza awards, and I have a list of his awards. Are you ready? 2019 for Death of a Nation, Worst Screenplay. 2017, Hillary's America Worst Actor, 2017 Hillary's America Worst Director, and 2017 nominee for Worst Screenplay for Hillary's America, all from the Razzies. That's the list of his awards.
What a great body of work.
That's amazing. If anybody knows if Trump gave him a medal,
This was his crowning achievement, essentially, and he had the pantsuit off of him, and is never like gonna be insurable in that industry ever again, most likely. Like, you have to carry insurance when you make movies, like, just to be clear. So I
Yeah.
don't know how this guy. That's a revenue stream
Do you know?
gone for Dum Dum.
Do you know who took down Dinesh D'Souza? By the way, who put him in jail? It was Preet. I forget what's Preet's last name. I think he's who's he a contributor for? Maybe MSNBC. He's a former district attorney in New York.
Oh, if he worked on MSNBC, I would know him.
Yeah, how do you say that? Bahara.
Bahara.
It's brilliant. Where's he a
I
contributor?
know that. Isn't he like CNN?
Is it maybe CNN? Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I recognize the
Could be.
last name. I didn't. I never knew the first name. Okay.
Yeah.
So now goes on with Salem Media Group, right? They're like, we're apologizing and trying to get out of this like as best we can, and like pinning it all on Dinesh. Salem put the blame squarely on, quote, representations made to us by Dinesh D'Souza and True the Vote. Just look, MAGA eating themselves, hanging each other out to dry, literally hanging each other out to dry. No loyalty among thieves.
Oh.
Representations that were not credible even before the movie came out, as I wrote in early 2022. So again, Salem's blaming Dinesh and D'Souza and True the Vote for representations made to us, right? They're just saying they told us they had sources, but honestly, as a media company, you would check the sources. Like, there's no excuse for Salem either.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about this, and we love Washington Post because they're so well sourced. And the blue letters, you can click on links. What's amazing to this is how many times, what was this author's name? Philip Bump actually wrote about this. Like this had been exposed.
He's one of my favorite journalists, and to say that is very high praise.
That is saying something. But like this, again, this was exposed hours after the film. It's just that MAGA doesn't care about that anymore. They do not care about being exposed. In fact, this won't change a whole lot for MAGA. Most people in the MAGA world still will believe 2,000 Mules. This will mean nothing to them. They're just gonna say, "Oh, it's a technicality, and they didn't want to get sued, but it's still a good movie." Like this stuff was fact checked so quick. We've known this forever, and this is as easy as it is to be informed. Just follow good reporters like Philip Bump. Let me read a comment real quick. You ready? From our good friend Sully, who showed up late today. Tardy Sully, but this better make up for it. An old couple is ready to go to sleep. The old man lies on the bed, but the old woman lies down on the floor. The old man asks, "Why are you going to sleep on the floor?" The old woman says, "Because I want to feel something hard for a change."
That is so...
It's devastating.
Sully, is that like an autobiography? What is happening there? That's very dark.
We can talk about it, Sully.
I want to feel something.
Blue, check out Blue Chew. Wasn't Me says, "What does a vegetarian zombie eat?" It's pretty good.
I don't know what.
Grains.
Oh, like
Grains.
Grains. Got it.
That's pretty good. Thank you. Well done, wasn't me. All right, we can continue. I think that was it.
Okay, no, it's not. So
no, that was it on my comments. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So D'Souza, okay, wait, hold on. Let me just read this again. So Salem put the blame squarely on representations made to us by Dinesh D'Souza and True the Vote. Representations that were not credible even before the movie came out, as I wrote in early 2022. Yes, he certainly did. In our conversation, D'Souza indicated that he was relying on the representations from True the Vote. So Salem Media Group is blaming Dinesh and True the Vote. Dinesh is blaming True the Vote. They're all pinning it on each other. Those reliances were by all accounts lucrative, right? The film was the 13th most popular movie in movie theaters in the country the week it debuted, and eventually grossed more than 1 million in theaters. So Dinesh, that's what I'm saying. He had a financial come up from this. Like he
My my aunt bought me tickets to this twice. She just sent them to me like an e-ticket, like, "Hey, you can go watch this movie tonight. You need to see it." I was like, "Nah, I've already read about it. We're good." I did wind up watching it though, and it was terrifically stupid.
Oh yeah, I watched it too. Despite being primarily distributed by streaming, oh yeah, so they made 1 million in theaters, but primarily it was distributed through streaming. Its errors were obvious soon after its release, but it was a cash cow. It was also, so again, right? It made 1 million in theaters. Who knows how much they made through streaming and streaming rights. Its errors were obvious soon after its release, but it was a cash cow. It was also essential to Trump and his supporters, as his January comments make clear. At last, here was punitive evidence of the fraud they simply knew must have occurred. It didn't, as was always obvious, but sometimes the truth not only takes 2 years to get its boots on, it only reaches for its boots once it receives a subpoena. Good one, Philip.
Good one, Philip. Uh, I was trying to remember who I was trying to find if it was Marjorie Taylor Greene that put
Tap the
2000
screen,
Mule.
guys. Share the live. We are taking opposition. If you would like to talk or express your sadness that you can no longer watch 2000 Mules, you're welcome to do so.
I was trying to find the Marjorie Taylor Greene quote about it. She did it in Congress. I uh, I think I don't remember who it was that caught. I want to say it was Raskin that was talking to her about that, but she said it was something like, "Yeah, if you'd watched 2,000 Mules, you'd know this," and that made its way to Congress. So that's cool. That's March for you, though.
Okay, well, I thought that just in keeping with what we're doing and talking about, these lies that were spread about the 2020 election, the race to the bottom, as I like to call it, the race to be Donald Trump's VP, is ongoing. And if you have been watching these people on like Sunday politics or when they're doing interviews on CNN, it is getting more and more wild. Like I just can't even believe it. And specifically, the thing that's interesting to me about Lil Marco Rubio, is just how thoroughly he was run over by Trump's lies and affected by them,
Yeah.
and how much he's licking Trump's boots now. And I actually, to just put, like, if I was MAGA, I actually think Rubio is the best choice of those people.
No question. Yeah, no
Yeah, like
question.
he at least appears saner to the independents and
Yeah.
the establishment Republicans, as you guys like to call them. He's definitely the sanest of the bunch. So I actually think if Trump does, because Trump needs voters from somewhere, it's not looking like the libertarians are going
Yeah.
to oblige. So like, I actually think that Marco Rubio is a good choice, and he's been doing interviews just lying. And that's the best thing about the Washington Post. Like, you tell enough lies, eventually they do a fact check analysis, and this one is pretty brutal.
Can I read a couple comments real quick while you pull that up?
Yeah.
Facts from our friends, Facts Still Matter, who will be on live, I believe, after this. Just wants to remind you guys, Hunter is a victim of the weaponized government. MAGA, if they can come after him, they can come after you. All hail Hunter. And then Rachel says, 2,000 jackasses made me giggle. Same. Ashley says, what's the difference between Trump and a flying pig?
What?
The letter F. I'll read it again. What is the difference between Trump and a flying pig?
Oh, I got it that time. That's a really good one.
It's easier when you read it, in all fairness.
That's hilarious.
I think that's all of them. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Marco Rubio spreads debunked election claims about 2020 ballots, right? Like the race to the bottom, the race to be Trump's VP seems to be based solely on, well, primarily, let's say, not solely, but primarily on like a lot of election denialism. Like the goal is you cannot concede to respect the results of the election. I don't know if you guys have caught any of these interviews, but all of these people are just going on to TV to prove to Trump that when they are pressured, they will refuse or dodge or pivot and not say that they will accept the results of a legitimate election.
And they're
So
all
here,
asked that question. Every one of them. They keep getting asked.
yeah, so you have, quote, you have places like Wisconsin with over 500 illegal Dropbox locations. You have places like Georgia where liberal groups were paying people $10 per vote. Look at what happened in Arizona, 200,000 ballots that signatures didn't match, end quote. That's Senator Marco Rubio in remarks on NBC's Meet the Press on May 19th. In the contest to join former President Donald Trump on the 2024 ticket as his running mate, aspirants will have had to follow his path on questioning election integrity in the United States. Many refuse to say they will accept the election results if Trump doesn't win. Some in contention have echoed Trump's falsehoods, as Vivek Ramaswamy did when he declared in one of the GOP primary debates that, quote, the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech. The theory, without evidence, is that more coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop would have changed the election results.
That 24 hours, yeah, that would have changed every. Why do we allow MAGA Republicans to keep talking about that story like nobody knew? Fucking, even though it was suppressed, everybody knew. Because the second it was suppressed, we all knew. Because it was reported by everybody.
But it's worse than that. Like, there have been people that have testified in Congress, like Lev Parnas is one, who have said, like, they were sent to go get dirt on Joe Biden, right? Him and Giuliani. They heard years before this happened that Russia had Hunter Biden's hard drive. Like, these claims, you guys don't even know the real story of this. These claims came out long before the however it was contrived that hard drive like ended up, at that place. Like, it's a longer story than that you guys don't like to tell that part.
Our friend Popular Monster says, what is Trump's favorite music album? It is
What?
Pink Floyd's The Wall. That's a fun joke for everybody. You don't have to make fun of Trump on that one. Thank you.
He refused to say he would accept the results. It's an unfair election. I think it's going to be contested. Right? That we're still talking. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I skipped a line. In a recent television appearance, Rubio managed to achieve a trifecta. He refused to say he would accept the results. Quote, if it's an unfair election, I think it's going to be contested. He suggested that more coverage of the laptop, right? This is their favorite conspiracy theory, would have affected the 2020 results. What undermines elections is when NBC News and every major news outlet in America in 2020 censored the Biden laptop story, which turned out to be true, not Russian misinformation, unprecedented. No, it really was.
Yeah,
It
no.
was both. Both
Yeah.
things can be true.
Yeah.
But what was I was gonna make some comment. Oh yeah. And the reason that, just to be clear, this has to do with how journalism works, right? The reason that they weren't printing the stories because they didn't have a second source. Like, those are the rules of actual journalism. Now, MAGA and right-wing media practice a different type of journalism. But if you break like journalistic ethics, you cannot work anymore
Yeah.
in reputable journalism.
Well, MAGA's rule is they don't publish unless there are zero sources. So if there's one or more sources, MAGA's not going to publish it. But if there's no sources, then we publish it.
Okay, and he made 3 specific claims about 2020. 1 misleading, 2 debunked. Let's examine them in order he made them. A Rubio spokesperson, oh shocker, declined to address his statements in detail. She forwarded the office's news release on his appearance, which cast his comments as, quote, addressing legacy media's one-side questioning on election denying. That's how going on the news and telling lies that you have no evidence of.
The thing is, like, MAGA just reminds me of like every company that's dealing with a scandal, right? And so you go out and you try and save face and you blame the media and you say everything's unfair and you try and get your point across even if they're not true, but everybody knows that they're untrue. It reminds me of like watching Sam Bankman-Fried, and just like how his story was exposed and unraveled, and he's up there every day like in Twitter spaces telling people, oh no, what you're, don't believe your lying eyes, don't believe that, none of this actually happened. And that's what MAGA is. Like, MAGA is an organization in crisis that isn't ready to abandon the leader, so they're trying desperately to figure out a way to just like hold on until this election.
Okay, so here's the first claim: 500 illegal Dropbox locations in Wisconsin. Rubio is referring to a July 2022 ruling by the Wisconsin Supreme Court that 528 Dropboxes that were in place in 2020 during the pandemic and 570 in a 2021 election were, quote, illegal under Wisconsin statutes. In the 4-3 ruling, the court concluded that state law did not explicitly permit drop boxes, even though they had been used in some jurisdictions for years. Quote, an absentee ballot must be returned by mail, or the voter must personally deliver it to the municipal clerk at the clerk's office or a designated alternate site, the court said. Officials, quote, may have been trying to make voting as easy as possible during the pandemic, but whatever their motivations, the Wisconsin Elections Commission must follow Wisconsin statutes, the court said. Good intentions never override the law, end quote. Brian Hagedorn, one of the judges in the majority, emphasized in a concurring opinion, quote, this case is not about the risk of fraudulent votes being cast or inspiring confidence in elections. In other words, yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that's the point, is that, listen to what Marco Rubio says. They list off things that like happened, right? But there's no, when you say there were 500 illegal drop boxes, MAGA's like, okay, cool. What did it really mean? It means the Supreme Court ruled that because it wasn't specifically outlined in the Constitution, in the Wisconsin Constitution, that therefore it was unconstitutional and that the ballot should not have been there. What they're not saying is that those drop boxes led to any fraudulent votes. There's no evidence of fraudulent votes. There's no evidence that the drop boxes led to an unfair election. Like, they're not related. They're simply saying, yeah, they probably shouldn't have done it this way. Like, you needed to pass a law.
That's how they always start, though, with a grain of truth. The conspiracy like fans out from there, right?
And
like,
that's like, just MAGA. Maybe this will help you. This is how you get lied to. So Marco Rubio doesn't say, let me tell you what happened in Wisconsin and explain it. He says 500 boxes in Wisconsin, 200,000 signature verifications that don't match. They just list like 5 or 6 things that they've heard, or 5 or 6 things that are in question, and then they leave it there. But if you go through every one of Marco Rubio's quotes, which we're kind of doing, you'll see none of them are true. And that's the case with almost all MAGA talking points. But they give you 5 or 6 because the normal person is like, oh, well, there's 6 examples. Like, they can't all be wrong. So they just wholesale accept it. It's part of the pattern. It's how they talk. You guys remember Joel yesterday when he came on, who's been media trained? That's what they do. When you ask them a tough question, they rattle off a long answer with a bunch of unsubstantiated things. And in a one-on-one discussion, in a debate, you can't go through those one-on-one. It's just the throw shit to the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah, and I think what the most important thing to understand, because nobody understands the timeline, like Rubio is talking about an after the fact Supreme Court ruling, right? Like, they didn't say this is illegal and then they did it anyways. Like, it was fine when they were doing it, and then the court ruled like, hey, going forward, like, no, it doesn't say this in the Constitution, like, that's our decision. But, right, so actually, in other words, Rubio is relying on after the fact court ruling, one narrowly focused on whether state statutes allowed the use of drop boxes even in a once in a century health emergency. The ruling was close. In fact, the balance of power on the court has since changed thanks to Protasewicz, and the now liberal-leaning court is considering whether it should overturn the ruling. And there's a link to that article if you want to read more about what's going on in Wisconsin. Next thing, people in Georgia were paid $10 per vote. This is a discredited falsehood peddled by an organization, and this is going to sound familiar, True the Vote. Remember
Oh,
them? Did we just learn about True the Vote earlier and how they lie? Well, notorious for spreading election misinformation, True the Vote first made this claim in 2021. But after the state of Georgia launched an investigation and demanded evidence, it tried to withdraw the allegation. God, that's something they do a lot, right? Make
it's a pattern.
unfounded claims with no evidence. And when someone asks them, "Where's your evidence?" they just say, "Oh, just kidding."
Yeah, it reminds me of every election case that the Trump attorneys brought all around this country. When it was time to present the evidence, they said, we don't really have any of that. We just got stories. We just got stories."
The investigation uncovered zero evidence of the allegations made by True the Vote, but did expose True the Vote as a mendacious and deceptive enterprise that is untrustworthy and unable to provide a shred of evidence for a single one of their fairy tale allegations. Mike Hassinger, a spokesman for the Georgia Secretary of State, a Republican, said in an email. So again, you guys, come on. This is a Republican saying this. Quote, like
Oh, he's a
all the
rhino.
lies,
He's a rhino. You know.
quote, like all the lies about Georgia's 2020 election, True the Vote's fabricated claims of ballot harvesting have been repeatedly debunked. And anyone who repeats them is either a willful dunce or a co-conspirator, end quote. That's the Republican spokesman for the Georgia Secretary of State.
Yeah.
A willful dunce. Does that sound familiar to any MAGAs in the chat? Does that a hat that you could wear and it would fit?
Useful idiot kind of sounds
Like
something
that's
similar.
what he's saying is either you're in on it, either you're in on the criminal conspiracy, or you got, or you're the mark. There's
Yeah.
only two choices. Because I know for a fact, I've talked to you a lot of you that believe this. So either you're the mark and you got, or you're in on the criminal conspiracy.
Just a reminder, if you are in here and you want to discuss it and you're MAGA, you can come up and talk to us. But I would love to discuss it with you. I would love to discuss why you guys still believe things when all of the evidence says otherwise. And sure, Winter, I do see you, and I know you've been in the box, but I'm just going to be really honest. You made me bored earlier, and I don't want to be bored again. So, what'd you say?
Nothing. Okay.
Did you want to bring him up?
No. I'm okay. I forgot what paragraph. Hold on one second. Okay. True the Vote did not respond. Shocking. True the Vote did not respond to a request for comment. In brief, the organization in November 2021 filed a complaint claiming that a source identified only as John Doe said he had been one of the many people who had been paid to collect and deliver absentee ballots for a fee of about $10 per ballot during the 2020 election.
Roughly. Yeah.
It
was about
whenever that was. I
think it was
dates and times, and I
974.
can't tell you who I am. The complaint said this ballot trafficking scheme had been organized by, quote, a network of non-governmental organizations, and that the source had been paid directly from one of these groups. But the story fell apart. I know, you guys, that's shocking. But the story fell apart when Georgia authorities tried to investigate True the Vote. True the Vote first tried to refuse a subpoena claiming confidentiality agreements, and then tried to withdraw the complaint. So they're saying, like, no, you're gonna tell us you're making a bunch of claims now. You filed this, so now you're gonna tell us what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
first, True the Vote tried to refuse a subpoena, claiming confidentiality agreements like NDAs. You guys, MAGA, you guys are familiar with NDAs, right? And then tried to withdraw the complaint entirely. When Georgia refused to allow that, True the Vote admitted, and there's a link to the court filing, that it had no confidentiality agreement or, quote, identity and contact information regarding its alleged source.
We don't know who they are. We don't
Oh
know their
man,
name.
another lie? That's
We don't
so
know where they are.
strange that MAGA got again by another lie.
Yeah. We didn't get any of their information when they came and gave us this story. We're sorry. Our bad. We'll go ahead and withdraw that. That's what happens every time, right? Like, guys, you have to understand that this is a money making scheme. Like True the Vote, the reason True the Vote keeps lying to you is because it gives True the Vote money. Like MAGA will read anything as long as it confirms their bias. And Donald Trump and the leaders at the top of the Republican Party will amplify any message that they like, whether it's true or not. There has never been a better time for fake news and propaganda in America than right now. Like you can make a fortune. Just like put Trump's name on there and say insane things about Joe Biden or about the election, and you're going to make money. Let me read a comment real quick from Charles. Great live. Jay, your co-host is a boss. She's my boss. You know that. I have so many
You're
okay.
unmanageable. That's Jen. That's Jen. Wouldn't put a single mother out of work. Like that's Jen's job, not mine. I honestly could not do what Jen does. She's a saint. Okay, so now we're on the third one, right? Which actually I just want to say, someone in the comments wrote, they said their source was "trust me, bro." Like quite literally said, "Oh, by the way, yeah, we made this all up. 2 weeks passed. The source was no one." So the next one was 200,000 signatures. Oh God, I'm so intimately acquainted with this one. 200,000 signatures didn't match on ballots in Arizona. As with the Georgia example, Rubio is fanning a theory that has little basis in fact. Joe Biden won Arizona by only 10,457 votes, or 0.3% of the nearly 3.4 million ballots cast. That's a lot. A lot of people voted in Arizona in 2020. Afterward, Republicans claimed that Maricopa County, that's the county the greater Phoenix area is in, where we live, the state's biggest, allowed tens of thousands of ballots with signature mismatches to be counted. Biden won the county by 45,109 votes, so his margin there was critical to his narrow victory. Oh, Mark Bernovich made the article. Good old Mark Bernovich.
Yeah, let's be clear on what they're saying there, though. So when you have a signature verification and it's in question, you have a Republican and a Democrat sitting next to each other, people that are poll workers for each party, and they have to agree that signature, like, so if the computer doesn't say it's an exact match, then you have a manual review, and the Democrat and the Republican have to agree that signature matches. So what they're talking about right now is not like somebody in a dark room like, oh, we'll just sneak these by. This was a Republican and a Democrat sitting together that decided that, like, even though the signature wasn't an exact match, like, it was close enough. Spoiler, like, my signature from when I was 20 is completely different from what it is now. Like, that'll happen. And your signature changes depending on how much of a hurry you're in.
I shattered my hand in college. That happened to me. Like I have metal, like playing volleyball. I have metal like in my hand now. That same thing happened to me. Like it looks like a different person.
So that's the thing. Like, again, as you go through each of these claims, notice how they never tell you what they actually, like, what happened. When you find out what really happened with these numbers that they're talking about, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And this was also, we also had, was it 3 or 4 recounts in Arizona now? I know a 4th was planned. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and also this is all tied into, if you remember, I don't want to bring up the pillow guy, but I'm gonna bring up.
Mikey.
I'm gonna bring up the pillow guy. If you remember, he was largely funding and he bankrupted himself trying to get the machines, if you will. Well, part of that Carrie Lake's lawsuit, which was that's what I'm bringing up Mike Lindell, because if you don't know, Mike Lindell funded a lot of that lawsuit, right? And that was all on TV in Arizona or on the internet. Anyone could watch it. And that whole trial, they brought these 200,000 signatures up. Like, yeah, and I just, God bless their hearts. Anyways, okay, wait. Let me find. Oh yeah, Mark Brnovich. He's our former. Just so you know, Mark Brnovich was our Republican Attorney General. Most of our state government are Republicans, or
Right.
especially at this time, they probably
It was
are.
like all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maricopa County, the one that they love complaining about, run by Republicans. The spot that they had problems in Maricopa
Yeah,
County
they
was
said it
where
was
I
like
live.
going into decline. Yeah, that was a
It's
Republican run. Phoenix is a
Yeah, we're like
Republican run state.
70% red. The place that had the problem was a deeply, deeply red place run by people who are red.
Well, the mayor is now Kate Gallego. If you know, Ruben Gallego is running for senator in Arizona against Carrie Lake. His ex-wife is actually, this is just fun
I
fact
didn't know
about
that was his
Phoenix. His
ex-wife. I had no idea.
ex-wife, Kate Gallego, is the mayor of Phoenix. Yeah, now you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's a
And the
fact.
mayor of Mesa, where most of the problems were, his name is John something, and his campaign slogan was, "I support Donald Trump." And that's not a joke. He had massive signs all over Mesa. And I said, John, I don't want, John Curtis is in Utah. I'm trying to remember his name now. But it was his name, and then "I support Donald Trump." That was the whole thing.
Okay, so Mark Brnovich, the Republican Attorney General at the time, you may have remember John Stewart dog walking Mark Brnovich, right? Isn't that?
I
Yeah,
do remember that. Yeah.
yeah, that happened. Poor Mark. Mark Brnovich, the Republican Attorney General at the time in 2022, issued a report saying the signature verification system in the county was, quote, insufficient to guard against abuse. When a Democrat, Chris Mays, she's now our attorney general. She's the one who brought the indictment against Trump. Chris Mays became attorney general last year. She released internal documents from the Brnovich probe showing that his investigators did not. Oh, shocker! Mark Brnovich was having a lot of pressure put on him. Mark showing that his investigators did not find evidence of fraud or improper procedures. At one point, Brnovich even left out edits from his own investigators refuting his assertions. So Mark Brnovich would be saying some BS, and then the investigators would be like, "No, that's not what we said," and
Yeah.
he would leave them out.
Leslie,
Oh, sorry.
thank you for the donation via PayPal. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Leslie. His staff advised him that the county had rigorous training and processes, as well as additional staff to ensure signature verification. As we noted, Rubio's spokesperson did not explain where he obtained the 200,000 figure. Our colleagues at factcheck.org, is Washington Post factcheck.org? I don't know. Or are they
Real
just not
quick, not
journalists?
today. Thank you so much for gifting all those subs. Thank you.
As we noted, Rubio's spokesperson did not explain where he obtained the 200,000 figure. Our colleagues at factcheck.org believed it came from a February 2022 pilot study funded by the Republican controlled Arizona Senate. Oh, imagine that. That study extrapolated from a sample of 499 early ballot envelopes. More than 1.9 million early ballots were cast. The study claimed that 200,000 mail ballots were mismatched signatures were counted without being reviewed, which is called cured, in Maricopa. That's not the same as 200,000 signatures being fraudulent. Like, if you
Right.
understand, there's a huge difference there. That's not the same as 200,000 signatures being fraudulent. Indeed, the study estimated that only 5,277 ballots should have been disallowed, which was in the margin of error, right?
Right.
Joe Biden, yeah. But again, all of these numbers are an extrapolation. Remember, if you know what extrapolate means, they're
So
not genuine numbers. They took a sample, right, of 499 and just extrapolated to the whole group.
yeah, so even if all of those votes would have been for Joe Biden, like these were all cheater votes, like once you remove them, Joe Biden still wins. Uh, where's homeboy? Max, you can come up and talk about it. It's not propaganda hour. What we're doing is we're telling you the facts of things, where MAGA may have like presented some propaganda to you, And so what we're doing is we're just fact checking, which I know to you probably feels like propaganda. But you're welcome to come up, Max.
Priorities USA paying you guys? I don't even know what that means. I don't. So that's gonna be a no for me.
If you're out there, Priorities USA, we will happily take your money though.
Yeah, so again, right, there was only 499 ballots found that they would have disallowed, and then they extrapolated that number out to 5,277. But again, all these numbers are an extrapolation from a tiny sample, and we now know Bertovich's investigators found no evidence of problems. So, the Pinocchio test. Trump is setting a high bar for vice presidential contenders. That's literally the race to the bottom, is who will lie the most about the 2020 election. They appear to need to echo his debunked claims of election fraud in 2020. Rubio's statements, especially regarding Georgia and Arizona, one from a notorious election conspiracy group, the other extrapolated from a small sample, likely passed the Trump test, but they fail the Pinocchio test. Rubio earns 4 Pinocchios.
Oh, it wasn't me. Has a question for you though, Felice. What is a dog? What do you call a dog who does magic?
What?
A labracadabrador.
A labracadabra.
That is your kind of joke.
That sounds like a Pokemon or something. Like
that would be a Pokemon. And then Kelly says, just want to let you know, Wisconsin indicted Chesborough, Roman, and some other guy named True Peace this morning for the fake elector scheme. Yeah, we covered that earlier, but it was right at the beginning, so you maybe weren't here for that. And we're happy to see that.
Yeah, and the good news and the other thing I was saying was that in addition to those people being indicted, what came out in the last couple of weeks is essentially that in the Michigan fake electors trial that's going on, they were interviewing the police captain that the Michigan fake electors confronted at the Capitol door and said, "We're the real electors, let us in." And he's like, "No, the real electors are inside and they've already checked in." That guy, federal investigators came to interview him. So the federal investigation, the January 6th stuff, is ongoing. It could be a superseding indictment, it could be a separate case. No one knows, but they are still investigating now the fake electors.
Somebody said Houndini would have been a good answer for that too. A dog with magic. Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, tap the screen. I would like to talk to some opposition.
That's what
Who
that is.
would like to talk to us? Anyone? Keep tapping the screen, guys, and share the live. Share the
Max is
live
here.
with your favorite or least favorite Republicans.
Oh, well, there you go. Asking you shall receive.
That's not what I
Australia is
meant.
back. What's up?
Oh, is his name Max? I thought you were
No.
talking about. Oh, Max is someone in the comments. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I understand. I was
Actually-
confused.
It's a very entertaining live that run. It is pretty entertaining.
Thank you. I hope you learned something today.
I was along for story.
We can barely. Are you muffling your microphone with your hand or something?
Not really. I was just along for story time, but it's thanks. Yeah, it's pretty.
Brother, we can't hear you at all. Are you on like are you on a microphone or like AirPods or something?
How's that? Is that
You sound like
better?
you're far,
That's better.
far away. Very quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was better.
Be better. No, look,
Yeah.
Look, yeah, just along for the journey with you. Yeah, it's just pretty funny. It's good chat.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, look, I do
What's
have a
funny?
question though.
MAGA.
Oh no, just story time.
All right.
But did you consider that Trump's business plan is politics?
Yeah, that is what his business plan is. That's literally how he's making all of his money right now, is by running for
And-
office and milking his donors. Yeah.
That is why he is such a good businessman, which is
Okay, so yeah,
Shit
if you think
politician, great businessman.
Oh,
That's
so
being a good
but
Well,
it's
he's a
not a
great grifter, but not so
yeah.
much a
Yeah, yeah,
businessman. His
yeah.
actual businesses, right? Like you're talking about like private companies that are run like a business. No, have not gone well for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So his business is politics.
Yeah, but it's also fraud, and it's also like he steals from the people who donate to him. He puts really small stuff in the fine print, so somebody who thinks they're making a one-time
Of
donation
course.
winds. Yeah, of
That
course. Yeah,
goes with
that's
the
why you
name
got.
of Trump.
Yeah, that's why you like him. We get it. We know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
See, the
just
thing is,
don't.
we just don't like people who are criminals, and you do, and I think that's the major difference between us and you. Is
Um.
like we think when you're a criminal, maybe you shouldn't
Hold
be
on. Hold on.
president.
Hold on. I don't think that what he did with Stormy Daniels was good. Not at all.
Yeah, but he's a criminal, right? He's a felon.
Is that what you're referring to, or?
Well, yeah, yeah, he's a criminal. He's a felon. He
Yeah.
also
Okay.
like
So
he
that's not
also
good.
yeah he also stole money from a charity to buy himself a painting. He's not allowed to even run a charity in New York anymore. His business was fined $500 million for lying to acquire loans. Yeah, like he's always been a criminal, and he always lies. For the life of me,
I
cannot
think
figure out
personally, I think
how
it's part
many
of the
people. That
dumbing
was the
down of
middle of my
America.
sentence there, Sherwinner. Remember how that was the middle of my sentence that you started yours? Wait till the end of my sentence and then start yours at the end of my sentence. But I can't for the life of me figure out how so many people love a person who refuses to tell the truth ever. Why do you guys like that
Yeah.
so much? God, the Wi-Fi in Australia is rough.
Doesn't that keep happening? Didn't that happen last time, but we didn't know where he went, and then he left? Is this that moment again? I feel like this happened.
Yeah. Coming back or MAGA? Do you really want to let this guy represent you, MAGA? Is this really what you want? Sorry, Sherwin. I guess you can come back. Well, I mean, I don't think we have time to do another. You froze on my end. Are you okay?
Am I frozen?
Just on my guys, is she frozen on your end?
Am I frozen, guys, in the chat?
I've been frozen for like half the live on my side, and yeah, I think it's just me. Sometimes this happens when the box
Okay.
is like closed back down. So
Okay, cool.
it's a tough freeze frame, but luckily I'm the only one that sees it. Well, we don't have time to cover another story. So if we don't have opposition, we can just finish things off. We'll just end a little early today. I don't see any opposition there in the box.
Last chance. Does anyone want to talk?
No. All right, guys.
You've
Thank
been
you.
frozen since you became an atheist.
Oh, somebody jumped in. Well, common sense. I don't know if you're on our side or not, but I'll bring you up, and Jen will probably kick you pretty quick if you're not. Welcome.
Trump is the best. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not opposition.
I thought
I
that
just
was
wanted
you.
to get
I
up there
thought
and
that was you.
sing some "Let It Go." Let it go. You're frozen.
There you go. All right, brother. We'll see you. All right, guys. We will be back tomorrow morning. We're going to be covering that ProPublica article tomorrow, and you're going to have to hear a lot from me. So if there's something else you'd rather do, I don't blame you for that, because you're going to have to hear from me a lot. But we'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. That's Monday through Friday. You can catch the replays on YouTube. If you missed anything, you can also watch live there. While you're over there, make sure you subscribe, like a video, leave a comment. That would help us a lot. Thank you guys so much for the gifts today, both on the Cash Apps and Venmo and through TikTok. I want to make sure I got every comment. Make sure real quick. I think that's it. Felice, any last words from you?
I'm just sad we can't all watch 2,000 Mules anymore. It's too bad.
I bought 12 copies.
Bad. That's my favorite show. I fell asleep to it every night. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight.
Well, I guess it wasn't on your Amazon wish list.
I should have recorded it when I had the chance.
Okay, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Enjoy yourselves. Take care of yourselves.